Good evening. Tonight's tale takes us to Ironhold Island, Maine, population 10,000, a small coastal community where economic desperation makes one very dangerous decision. What begins as a ribbon-cutting ceremony becomes something far worse, a cargo ship, a containment failure, and the unsettling discovery that bioweapons research isn't always fiction. Before we proceed, a disclosure. The voices you'll hear were generated by artificial intelligence, but the story, the script, and the direction are entirely human. Technology provides the voice, but a human hand guides the horror. What follows is fictional, inspired by survival horror games like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and The Last of Us. If you haven't experienced these masterworks, I encourage you to do so. This audio drama will still be here when you return. Any resemblance to real pharmaceutical companies or tragic outbreaks is purely coincidental, though you may find that when governments blur the line between defense and offense, we control very little of what we've created. And remember, the most terrifying monsters are often the ones we fund ourselves. Enjoy the show.
Good evening. I'm Rebecca Valentine, and tonight we pause to remember. 6 months ago, approximately 30,000 people died in Badger Creek, Maine. Fathers, mothers, children, neighbors, an entire community erased in a single morning when the federal government authorized a tactical nuclear strike on American soil. The official reason, you'll recall, was containment. A biological weapon, the Z virus, had been accidentally released by Aperture Pharmaceuticals. The infection spread faster than anyone predicted. Within 2 weeks, the town was overrun. Tonight, we're not just remembering the dead, we're asking the question that haunts every survivor, every family member, every American who watched this unfold. Have we learned anything? Let's take a moment to look back at what happened. These images, some of which you may remember, were broadcast in the final days before communications went dark. Early reports showed unusual animal attacks near the Doyle Mansion facility. Then human victims began appearing with injuries that should have been fatal, yet the attackers kept moving. Police discovered an underground laboratory 3 levels deep, filled with holding cells and research equipment. Inside those cells, reanimated corpses, living weapons. The infection spread exponentially. Hospitals were overwhelmed within days. The National Guard established a quarantine perimeter, but it wasn't enough. By week 4, tens of thousands of infected creatures were relentlessly hunting the living. And then, at 0600 hours on a Tuesday morning, President Chris Kennedy authorized the strike that killed everyone left inside the zone. Approximately 30,000 American citizens to prevent continental pandemic. Joining us now is Officer Sam Spade, one of the few survivors of the Doyle Mansion investigation. Officer Spade, thank you for speaking with us tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Rebecca.
You've testified to 3 different congressional committees in the past 6 months. Has anything changed?
No, nothing. I've told them what we found down there. The research facility, the classified documents, the evidence that this was planned. Deliberate. And you know what happens? Closed session hearings, classified findings. The same people who enabled this, they're still running research programs, still funded, still operational. I went into that mansion with 3 other officers. I'm the only one who made it out. And for what? So we could have another committee meeting where they nod politely and do absolutely nothing?
Do you believe there's a cover-up?
I don't believe it, Rebecca. I know it. The documents we recovered proved Aperture was working under government contract. Defense contractors funded the research. The mayor was receiving payments for years to keep quiet. This goes all the way up. So, yeah, I think we're being lied to. And I think it's going to happen again.
We reached out to the current administration for comment on Officer Spade's testimony. They declined to participate in tonight's broadcast. We're also joined by Mayor Annie Hayworth, who assumed leadership of the Badger Creek Emergency Response Committee after Mayor Claire Johnson's death. Mayor Hayworth, you've been quite vocal about the government's handling of this disaster.
We were warned, Rebecca. That's what people need to understand. We had signs. We had reports. We had concerned citizens raising red flags about Aperture's activities for years. And we, the local government, we did nothing. We took their money. We looked the other way. Claire Johnson, my predecessor, she knew. The evidence found in her office after her death made that clear. She was on Aperture's payroll. She helped them maintain their cover. And when it all fell apart, when she finally understood the magnitude of what she'd enabled, she took her own life.
That must have been difficult to discover.
Difficult doesn't begin to cover it. But here's what I want people to hear tonight. This wasn't just corporate malfeasance. This wasn't just government negligence. This was complicity at every level. Local, state, federal. We all had a hand in this. And that responsibility, that blood, it's on all of us. If we don't demand accountability now, if we don't tear down the infrastructure that allowed this, then we're complicit in whatever comes next. And something will come next. I guarantee it.
Dr. Nathan Roper served as scientific analyst during the outbreak and has been following the investigation closely. Dr. Roper, from a technical standpoint, what have we learned?
Not enough. Not nearly enough. The Z virus was an engineered biological weapon designed to reanimate dead tissue while destroying higher cognitive function. It turned human beings into predatory creatures with no pain response, no fear, no capacity for reason, perfect soldiers from a military perspective. But here's what troubles me most, Rebecca. The infrastructure that developed this weapon, it's still intact, still operational. Aperture Pharmaceuticals may be defunct, their executives may have disappeared, but the research didn't disappear with them. The samples still exist, the knowledge still exists, the funding networks still exist.
Are you saying this could happen again?
I'm saying it's already happening. We've confirmed outbreaks in Canada, Russia, Australia. Same pattern, same corporate structure, same government cover-up. Badger Creek wasn't the beginning, and it wasn't the end. It was one test in a global program. The question isn't whether it will happen again. The question is where and when, and whether we'll be any more prepared than Badger Creek was.
Tonight, we remember 30,000 souls lost to a tragedy that should never have happened. We remember the families torn apart, the communities destroyed, the lives erased in the name of research and profit and national security. But we must ask ourselves, have we learned anything? The officials responsible have not been prosecuted. The programs that enabled this continue under new names. The same contractors, the same researchers, the same government liaisons, all still in place, all still operational. 6 months of silence, 6 months of closed hearings and classified findings, 6 months of the world moving on while survivors beg for answers. Tonight, we remember the dead, but we must also ask, are we prepared for what comes next? Because if Officer Spade is right, if Mayor Hayworth is right, if Dr. Roper are right, then Badger Creek was not an ending. It was a warning. I'm Rebecca Valentine. Thank you for joining us. Good evening. In what's being called a fresh start for pharmaceutical research, Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals announced today it will reopen the former Aperture facility on Ironhold Island, Maine. The announcement comes just 6 months and 1 day after the Badger Creek disaster that claimed 30,000 lives. Black Mesa's Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Alexander Sebastian, released a statement this morning emphasizing the company's commitment to legitimate pharmaceutical research and contributing to local economic recovery. The facility, which has sat empty since Aperture's collapse, will reportedly employ 200 local residents within the next 6 months. Ironhold Island, for those unfamiliar, is a rocky, isolated community off the Maine coast. Population roughly 10,000, ferry dependent, and like many coastal towns, economically devastated since the shutdown of its primary employer. We have footage of the facility now. As you can see, it looks like a modern pharmaceutical campus. Clean lines, contemporary architecture, nothing that would immediately raise concerns. But of course, people are still uneasy with anything connected to Aperture after the events of Badger Creek. Joining us now from Ironhold Island is Mayor Lena McLeodlaw. Thank you for speaking with us tonight.
Thank you for having me, Rebecca. I appreciate the opportunity to address some of the concerns I know people have.
Your community has voted to welcome Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals. That's a significant decision given what happened in Badger Creek just 6 months ago.
It is. And believe me, we didn't make this choice lightly. But Rebecca, you have to understand our situation. When Aperture shut down, we lost nearly a quarter of our jobs overnight. Our schools are underfunded. Our infrastructure is crumbling. We have families leaving the island because there's no work, no future here. Black Mesa is offering 200 positions, good jobs, family-sustaining wages, and they've promised quarterly community inspections, full transparency, strict government oversight. These are guarantees Aperture never made.
But they're reopening the same facility, the same building where Aperture conducted classified research.
They're gutting it. Complete renovation, new equipment, new safety systems, new protocols. New procedures. Dr. Sebastian has been very forthcoming about their commitment to operating differently than Aperture did. This isn't the same company, Rebecca. It's not even the same research focus.
What will they be researching?
Pain management therapeutics, cancer treatments, legitimate medical applications. Nothing classified, nothing that should concern anyone.
Should concern anyone? Mayor, forgive me, but those are almost the exact words Aperture used.
I know how it sounds. I do. But what's our alternative? Turn down 200 jobs and watch our community die slowly. Or take a calculated risk with a company that's agreed to oversight Aperture never accepted. We're not naive, Rebecca. We're desperate. And sometimes those look similar, but they're not the same thing.
We reached out to Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals for an interview with Dr. Sebastian. He declined to appear on camera, but did provide this recorded statement.
Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals has no connection to Aperture's past operations. We are a new company, with new leadership, new standards, and a genuine commitment to pharmaceutical research that serves humanity rather than whatever Aperture was doing. We understand the community's concerns. We understand the nation's concerns, and we welcome scrutiny. In fact, we insist on it. The only way to rebuild trust is through transparency, and that's exactly what we intend to provide.
Strong words from Dr. Sebastian, but as we learned in Badger Creek, words are easy. It's actions that matter, and we'll be watching those actions very closely in the weeks and months ahead. Coming up, not everyone on Ironhold Island is convinced this is a good idea. We'll hear from critics when we return.
All right, let's come to order. We have a lot to discuss tonight, and I want to make sure everyone gets a chance to speak. This decision affects all of us, so all voices deserve to be heard. For those watching at home or listening to the broadcast, we're here to discuss Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals' proposal to reopen the research facility. We'll hear from both supporters and critics, then we'll vote. Simple majority decides. Let's start with Stella, who serves on the town council.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. We're broke. Our tax base has been gutted. We can't afford to keep the schools open past June without new revenue. We can't fix the roads. We can't maintain the ferry dock. We're watching our children leave because there's nothing here for them. Black Mesa is offering us a lifeline. 200 jobs. That's 200 families with steady income. That's tax revenue for infrastructure. That's hope. And right now, hope is in pretty short supply around here. I know what people are thinking. I know what happened in Badger Creek, but we can't let fear paralyze us. We can't let one company's crimes condemn every pharmaceutical operation in the country. Black Mesa isn't Aperture. They've agreed to oversight. They've agreed to transparency. What more can we ask for?
Thank you, Stella. Marnie Edgar represents the local business community. Marnie?
I'll be brief. My family runs the general store on Main Street. We've been here 3 generations, and I'm watching my customer base evaporate, People are leaving. The ones who stay, they're scraping by. I had to let go of 2 employees last month because I can't afford to pay them. Black Mesa means customers. It means people shopping locally again. It means businesses staying open instead of boarding up. I understand the fear. I really do. But the alternative is watching our town die slowly. And that's not fear. That's reality. We need this.
Now let's hear from the critics. Iris Henderson is our public health officer. Iris?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to be very clear about something. We don't know what Black Mesa is researching. We don't know what they're storing. We don't know what safety measures they're implementing beyond vague assurances. And frankly, that's unacceptable. They say they'll allow quarterly inspections. Quarterly. That means every 3 months, we get a carefully curated tour of whatever they want us to see. Aperture had inspections too. They passed every single one. And then we found out they were running a 3-level underground laboratory filled with bioweapons and human test subjects. I'm not saying Black Mesa is definitely doing something wrong. I'm saying we have no way to know if they are. And after Badger Creek, that should terrify all of us.
Bob Rusk, you've been vocal about your concerns. Go ahead.
Vocal is putting it mildly, Mayor.
I think we're insane.
I think we're so desperate for jobs that we're willing to ignore every warning sign, every red flag, every lesson we should have learned 6 months ago. Aperture said they were safe too. They said, trust us. They said, we're operating under government oversight. And then 30,000 people died.
30,000.
An entire town. Mothers, fathers, kids. Gone. Vaporized because a pharmaceutical company decided human lives were acceptable losses for research data. And now we're supposed to believe Black Mesa is different? Based on what? Their word? Their promises? How is that different from what Aperture promised?
So what's your solution, Bob? We all leave, abandon the island?
I'm saying we demand real oversight, not quarterly inspections, daily access, independent safety monitors, public disclosure of all research materials. And if they can't agree to that, then yeah, we tell them no, because some things are more important than money.
All right. Let's hear from Black Mesa's representative. Lisa Fremont is their corporate relations director. Miss Fremont?
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you all for your time tonight. I understand the concerns. I really do. I grew up in a community affected by pharmaceutical research. I know what it's like to worry about what's happening behind closed doors. But Black Mesa is different. We operate under strict government oversight. We have triple redundancy in our safety measures. We're committed to transparency in a way Aperture never was. In fact, we have nothing to hide. The facility will be open for those quarterly inspections I mentioned, and we're happy to discuss increasing that frequency if the community wants it.
What are you researching?
Pain management therapeutics and cancer treatment protocols. Nothing classified. Nothing that should concern anyone here.
Will you provide public disclosure of all research materials?
Within the bounds of proprietary protection, absolutely. We can't give away trade secrets, obviously, but we can provide detailed summaries of our research focus and safety protocols.
That's what Aperture said. Detailed summaries. And meanwhile, they were developing bioweapons 3 levels underground.
Mr. Rusk, I understand your skepticism. But at some point, you have to decide whether you're going to let fear control your decisions or whether you're going to evaluate each situation on its own merits. Black Mesa is not Aperture. We're a different company, with different leadership, different standards. And frankly, conspiracy theories don't help anyone.
30,000 people dead isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a fact.
And it's a tragedy that never should have happened. Which is exactly why Black Mesa has implemented safeguards Aperture never had. We learn from history, Mr. Rusk. We don't repeat it.
All right. I think we've heard enough from both sides. Let's vote. All those in favor of allowing Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals to reopen the facility, raise your hand. I'm counting. Looks like approximately 60 hands. All those opposed? Roughly 40 hands. The measure passes. Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals is approved to reopen operations on Ironhold Island.
We're making a mistake.
Your objection is noted for the record, Bob. Meeting adjourned.
That was tonight's town hall meeting from Ironhold Island. As you heard, the vote was close, 58% in favor, 42% opposed. And as one resident put it, quote, "We're making a mistake. Only time will tell if that prediction is accurate." Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals begins operations next week. Good evening. Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals officially opened its research facility on Ironhold Island this week, marking what local officials are calling a significant economic milestone for the island community. The ribbon-cutting ceremony on Monday drew over 300 attendees, including Mayor Lena McLeodlaw, members of the town council, and representatives from the governor's office. Students from Ironhold Elementary performed, and the high school marching band played during the opening festivities. Dr. Alexander Sebastian, Black Mesa's chief executive officer, addressed the crowd and emphasized the company's commitment to both scientific research and community partnership. In his remarks, Dr. Sebastian announced that Black Mesa will be hiring an additional 50 local residents over the next 6 months, bringing total employment at the facility to 200 positions. The facility, located on the northern end of the island, will focus on pharmaceutical research and development. Specific projects remain confidential under the terms of Black Mesa's federal research contract, but company representatives have indicated the work involves pain management therapies and infectious disease countermeasures. Earlier today, the first major supply shipment arrived at Ironhold's commercial port. The cargo vessel Cassandra docked without incident at approximately 2 p.m., delivering research equipment and materials to the facility. Leon Chambers is on Ironhold Island and has more on today's developments. Leon?
Thanks, Rebecca. I'm standing outside the Black Mesa facility where operations are now fully underway. Behind me, you can see the main research building, which has been completely renovated since Aperture Pharmaceuticals vacated the property last year. The atmosphere here today has been, well, pretty routine. Employees arriving for work, security checking credentials at the gate, the kind of normal business operations you'd expect at any research campus. This morning's cargo delivery went smoothly, according to Port Authority. Captain Barry Kane reported standard procedures, no delays, no complications. The shipment included laboratory equipment, climate-controlled storage units, and research materials, all of which is typical for a facility of this size and scope. I spoke with several Ironhold residents today about the reopening, and the response has been largely positive. Many people here see this as a return to economic stability after the uncertainty following Aperture's closure. One woman I spoke to said, "I own a small business on Main Street, and last year was rough. When Aperture shut down, we lost a lot of customers. People moved away, businesses closed. Having Black Mesa here means jobs. It means people can stay. That's good for everyone." Mayor McLeodlaw echoed that sentiment in a statement this afternoon, saying that Black Mesa's investment in the community represents a brighter future for Ironhold Island families. The facility has implemented what they're calling enhanced safety measures, including regular inspections, external oversight, and community transparency initiatives. Black Mesa has invited local officials to tour the facility quarterly and has established a community liaison office to address any resident concerns. For now, it appears to be business as usual on Ironhold Island. Back to you, Rebecca.
Leon, thank you. Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals has stated they will hold their first community open house next month, allowing residents to learn more about the research being conducted at the facility. In other news tonight, the Ironhold Island School Board approved a new funding measure, and local fishermen report strong catches this season. We'll have those stories and more after this brief break.
All right, settle in, folks. And boy, do I have something for you tonight. I'm holding in my hands right now, as I speak, a document that should concern every single person in Maine. Hell, every person in America. This is a shipping manifest, obtained, let's say, from a source who wishes to remain anonymous. A very brave source, I should add, who's risking their job, maybe their freedom, to get this information out there. And what does this manifest show? Well, let me read it to you. The Cassandra cargo vessel, registration November Charlie 7749, departed Baltimore 3 days ago. Destination, Ironhold Island, Maine. Contents as follows: biological containment units, category 4, cryogenic sample storage, temperature negative 80 Celsius, hazardous material handling equipment, class 3 biohazard, specialized ventilation systems, negative pressure capable. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with this terminology, let me translate. This isn't pharmaceutical equipment. This is bioweapon research equipment. Category 4 biological containment. That's for the most dangerous pathogens known to science. Ebola, Marburg, and, oh yeah, engineered bioweapons like the Z-virus. Cryogenic storage at negative 80 degrees. That's for preserving viral samples. Long-term storage of biological agents that need to remain dormant until you're ready to use them. Hazardous material handling equipment. Class 3 biohazard. Class 3, folks. That's not for handling aspirin. That's for handling stuff that can kill you if you breathe it. Stuff that requires full containment suits, airlocks, decontamination protocols, and negative pressure ventilation systems. You know what those are for? They ensure that if anything gets out, if any pathogen escapes containment, it gets sucked back into the facility instead of spreading to the outside world. You know who uses negative pressure ventilation? The CDC, the Army's Bioweapons Division, and apparently Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals. But sure, they're just researching pain medication. That's what they want us to believe. Now, let me connect some dots for you. Aperture Pharmaceuticals was researching the Z-virus. We know this. It's documented. They had an underground laboratory 3 levels deep, filled with containment cells and infected test subjects. They deliberately released the virus into Badger Creek as a field test. 30,000 people died. And now, 6 months later, a new company, Black Mesa, reopens Aperture's old facility. Different name, same building, same government contracts. And they're importing the exact same equipment Aperture would have needed for bioweapon research. You see where I'm going with this? Black Mesa is Aperture. Same company, new name, new location, same research. They're not developing cancer treatments, folks. They're continuing the Z-virus program. Why? Because the program never stopped. Badger Creek wasn't a failure from their perspective. It was a success. They got data, they learned how the virus spreads, how fast it mutates, how effectively it converts populations, and now they're ready for phase 2. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, this is speculation. This is conspiracy theory. Where's your proof? Well, here's my proof. I'm uploading this manifest to my website right now. As I speak, you can download it. You can verify it. You can check the registration numbers, the shipping codes, all of it. The government will deny it, of course. They'll say I'm making this up. They'll say the document is fake. They'll call me a fearmonger and a conspiracy theorist. But here's the thing. They said the same thing about me when I warned people about Badger Creek. I told everyone Aperture was running illegal bioweapon tests. I was called crazy, and then 30,000 people died. And suddenly I didn't seem so crazy anymore. So call me whatever you want, but I'm right. I was right about Badger Creek, and I'm right about Ironhold Island. Black Mesa is not a pharmaceutical company. They're a bioweapons contractor. And whatever they're planning is happening right now on American soil with full government approval. Here's what's going to happen. The mainstream media will ignore this. They'll dismiss it as fringe conspiracy nonsense. They won't investigate. They won't ask hard questions. They'll just repeat whatever Black Mesa's PR department tells them. But my listeners, you're smarter than that. You know how to think critically. You know how to look at evidence and draw your own conclusions. So I'm asking you, download this manifest, share it, send it to your local representatives, demand answers, demand transparency. Because if we don't, if we just sit back and let this happen, then we're complicit in whatever comes next. And trust me, something is coming, something bad. The question is, will we stop it before it's too late? Or will we wait until another 30,000 people are dead? That's all for tonight, folks. Stay vigilant, stay skeptical, and for God's sake, stay away from Ironhold Island.
We're interrupting our regular programming with breaking news from Ironhold Island. We're receiving reports of an incident at the commercial dock involving the Cassandra, the Black Mesa supply vessel that arrived 3 days ago. Details are still coming in, but here's what we know so far. At approximately 1800 hours, that's 6 p.m., the Cassandra issued a distress signal reporting what they're calling equipment malfunction during cargo operations. Black Mesa security personnel responded immediately, along with Ironhold Island Emergency Services. We're trying to get more information now. Leon Chambers, our correspondent on the island, is en route to the dock. We'll bring you updates as soon as we have them. Again, to repeat, there's been some kind of incident involving the Cassandra at the Ironhold Island commercial dock. Nature of the incident currently unclear. We'll have more information shortly. All right, we're getting word that a Black Mesa spokesperson is about to make a statement. Let's listen.
Good evening. At 1803 this evening, personnel aboard the Cassandra reported a mechanical failure during cargo transfer operations. The failure resulted in a brief loss of environmental containment in one of the storage units. The situation was immediately contained, and all appropriate safety measures were enacted. One dock worker sustained minor injuries and has been transported to Ironhold General Hospital as a precautionary measure. The worker is conscious, alert, and in stable condition. There is no biological threat. There is no public risk. This was a minor equipment failure, nothing more. As a standard safety measure, the facility has implemented temporary lockdown procedures while we conduct a full safety review. We expect to resume normal operations within 24 to 48 hours. We appreciate the community's patience and understanding. Thank you.
That was Lisa Fremont, Corporate Relations Director for Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals. Minor equipment failure, no biological threat, standard safety measures, one worker hospitalized as a precaution. Leon Chambers has arrived at the dock. Leon, what can you see?
Rebecca, I'm about, I'd say, 200 yards from the dock right now. Black Mesa Security has established a perimeter. They're not letting anyone get close, but I can see the Cassandra from here, and I can tell you it doesn't look like a minor equipment failure. There are, I'm counting, at least 6 security vehicles, personnel in what look like hazmat suits, full containment gear, Rebecca, not the kind of thing you wear for a mechanical problem, the kind you wear when you're worried about biological contamination.
Can you see the ship itself?
Yeah. There's activity on deck. I can see, it looks like they're sealing one of the cargo holds. Heavy plastic sheeting, the kind you'd use for quarantine. And there's an ambulance pulling away now. Presumably with the injured dock worker. Rebecca, I've covered industrial accidents before. I've seen equipment failures. This doesn't look like that. This looks like a containment breach. This looks like they're worried about something getting out.
Have you been able to talk to any witnesses?
Security's keeping everyone back, but I did manage to speak briefly with one of the dock workers who was here when it happened. He didn't want to be identified, but he said he heard sounds from inside the container, like movement, like something was, his words, trying to get out. Now, that could be anything, right? Could be equipment shifting, could be, I don't know, hydraulics or something, but combined with the hazmat suits and the quarantine procedures, it's concerning.
Leon, stay safe. Keep us updated on any developments. We're going to try to get more information from the hospital about the injured worker's condition.
We'll do, Rebecca.
We reached out to Dr. Alexander Sebastian, Black Mesa's chief executive officer, for additional comment. He was unavailable. We also contacted the Ironhold Island mayor's office. Mayor McLeodlaw released a brief statement saying, "We are monitoring the situation and coordinating with Black Mesa to ensure public safety." The federal government has not yet commented. I want to be very careful here. We don't have all the facts yet. It's entirely possible this really is just a minor equipment malfunction. Ships have mechanical problems all the time. Cargo containers fail. Workers get injured. It happens. But here's what concerns me. The response is disproportionate to what they're claiming happened. If this was really just a mechanical issue, why the hazmat suits? Why the quarantine procedures? Why the facility lockdown? Why won't anyone talk to us beyond carefully scripted statements? We're going to continue monitoring this situation throughout the night. We'll bring you any updates as we receive them. In the meantime, if you have family or friends on Ironhold Island, now might be a good time to check in with them. I'm Rebecca Valentine. We'll be right back.
This is, Captain Barry Kane, United States Coast Guard. Service number 774923. I'm making this statement voluntarily regarding the incident involving the Cassandra on the evening of October 14th. I'm not sure I should be doing this, but people need to know what I saw. We received the Cassandra's distress call at approximately 1845 hours. We were on routine patrol about 8 miles out when we got the call. Ship reported containment failure, requesting immediate assistance. That's not standard language for a mechanical problem, you know? Containment failure is what you say when something's gotten loose. So I brought the cutter in, fast as we could. We were maybe 2 minutes from docking when Black Mesa security hailed us and told us to stand down. They told the Coast Guard to stand down. Said they had it under control. Said they didn't need our assistance. But I was close enough to see the ship. I was close enough to see what was happening on that deck. And I'm telling you, they did not have it under control. I saw people on the deck. But something was wrong with them. They were moving. Wrong. Jerky. Uncoordinated. I had binoculars. I could see maybe 5 or 6 figures. At first I thought they were crew members who were injured, the way they were stumbling around. But then I saw the dock workers trying to contain them. And that's when I realized these weren't injured crew. These were, I don't know what they were, but they were attacking. I watched one of these figures lunge at a dock worker. The dock worker went down, and the figure that was on top of him, I couldn't hear anything from that distance, but I could see the struggle. The other dock workers trying to pull the attacker off. And when they finally got it away from him, when I focused my binoculars on the injured worker, I could see blood, a lot of blood, on his neck, his shoulder, and the way he was moving afterward, clutching at his wounds, the panic. He knew something was very wrong. I don't know what those things were, but they weren't normal people. The way they moved, the way they attacked, and the dock workers, the facility security, they were terrified. I could see it even from 200 yards out. The way they backed away, the way they drew weapons. These were trained professionals, and they were scared. Some of them were running, just running away from the ship. Then we got the order. Stand down. No further approach. Treat the area as a biological hazard zone. That's when I knew something was very, very wrong. Because that's not the procedure for a mechanical failure. That's the procedure for a pathogen release. That's the procedure for a viral outbreak. The order came through federal channels. I can't say more than that. But it was high enough up that I couldn't question it. We backed off. We maintained perimeter. We watched Black Mesa security swarm the ship with hazmat teams and containment equipment. And then, about an hour later, they declared the situation resolved. But I was watching that ship the whole time. I saw what they were doing. They weren't fixing equipment, they were hunting something. They were sweeping that cargo hold like they were clearing a building, room by room, container by container, looking for something that got out. Did they find them all? I don't know. They said they did. They said everything was secured. But I watched that ship for 3 hours, and I saw them bring bodies off, wrapped in plastic. At least 3, maybe 4. Could have been the attackers, could have been crew members. I don't know. But I know what I saw. People, or things that used to be people, attacking dock workers. And one of those workers got bitten. Bad. I tried to file an official report. I was told to limit my observations to factual maritime safety issues. I was told not to speculate about matters outside my jurisdiction. I was told that federal authorities were handling the investigation, and my report would be incorporated into their findings. Translation: shut up and forget what you saw. But I'm not forgetting, because I've been a Coast Guard officer for 17 years. I've responded to fires, collisions, sinkings, every kind of maritime emergency you can imagine. And I've never seen a response like this. I've never seen federal authorities order the Coast Guard to stand down from an active distress call. I've never seen a minor equipment failure treated like a biological weapons incident. And I've never, in all my years at sea, seen people move like those things on that deck, or seen trained security personnel looked at terrified. I got a call about an hour before making this statement. Lawyer said I was potentially compromising an ongoing federal investigation. Said I should carefully consider the consequences of making unfounded allegations. That's why I'm making this statement. Because when they start threatening you, when they start trying to silence you, that means you saw something they don't want you to talk about. And after Badger Creek, after what we all watched happen there, I'm not going to be complicit in another cover-up. People need to know what happened on that ship. People need to know that whatever Black Mesa brought to Ironhold Island, it wasn't medical equipment. It was people, or things that used to be people, things that attack, things that bite, and at least some of them got loose before they could be contained. This is Captain Barry Kane. End of statement.
Good evening. The investigation into last week's incident at Ironhold Island continues. And tonight we're learning new details that raise more questions than they answer. The dock worker who was hospitalized following the equipment malfunction has been pronounced dead at Ironhold General Hospital. His name is being withheld at the family's request, and officials are not releasing the cause of death at this time. Hospital sources tell us he was initially treated for what were described as minor cuts and abrasions, but his condition deteriorated rapidly overnight. Hospital director Dr. Ellie Hammond declined to comment on the specifics of his death, citing ongoing investigation into the incident. However, and this is where things get concerning, nursing staff described the patient as unusually aggressive during his hospital stay. He reportedly required sedation on multiple occasions. Medical personnel noted erratic behavior, sudden outbursts, and what one nurse called an almost feral quality to his movements. Now, that could be explained by trauma, by pain medication, by any number of factors, but it's unsettling nonetheless. And he's not the only one. In the past 48 hours, 3 additional dock workers have reported to Ironhold General Hospital complaining of injuries. All 3 describe what they're calling bite-like wounds. When asked what bit them, none of them can provide a clear answer. Joining us now is Dr. Constance Peterson, director of Ironhold General Hospital. Dr. Peterson, thank you for speaking with us.
Of course, Rebecca. I want to be as transparent as possible given the understandable concerns people have.
Can you describe the injuries you're seeing?
Well, they're consistent with bite marks. Puncture wounds arranged in a pattern that suggests teeth. Human teeth, we believe. But the depth and severity of the wounds are unusual. More aggressive than what we typically see in, say, a fight or an assault. We're treating all patients for infection risk. Standard procedure for any bite wound. Antibiotics, tetanus boosters, monitoring for signs of sepsis. So far, all patients are responding well to treatment.
Are you concerned these injuries might be related to the incident at the dock?
I can't speculate on that. What I can tell you is that we're seeing an unusual cluster of similar injuries in a short time period. That's enough to warrant close attention and coordination with public health officials.
Have any of the patients exhibited the aggressive behavior you saw in the first dock worker?
Some have shown elevated agitation. But again, that could be attributed to pain, stress, any number of factors. We're monitoring everyone closely.
Dr. Peterson, I have to ask, do any of these symptoms remind you of the early reports from Badger Creek?
Rebecca, I don't think it's helpful to make that comparison. Badger Creek was a viral outbreak. What we're seeing here are isolated injuries, not a contagious disease. There's no evidence of person-to-person transmission. There's no reason for panic.
But you are concerned?
I'm always concerned when I see unusual patterns. That's my job. But concern isn't the same as alarm. We're following proper medical procedures and coordinating with local authorities. That's all I can say right now.
Thank you, Dr. Peterson. The hospital isn't the only place seeing unusual activity. Ironhold Island's Sheriff Charlotte Inwood has received multiple reports of animal attacks over the past 3 days. Sheriff Inwood joins us now. Sheriff, what can you tell us about these incidents?
We've had 7 reported animal attacks since Saturday. That's more than we typically see in a month. Mostly dogs, a few reports of what witnesses describe as extremely aggressive behavior. But what's troubling is the descriptions we're getting. These aren't normal dog attacks. Witnesses say the animals look, and I'm reading from multiple statements here, emaciated, skeletal, missing patches of fur, with bone visible through the skin, eyes described as cloudy white or gray, mouth hanging open with teeth prominently displayed. What makes this even more concerning is they're hunting in packs, coordinated attacks, almost tactical in nature. Several of these dogs have been shot multiple times, and they keep coming. One officer reported unloading 6 rounds into an animal, and it didn't stop until he managed a headshot. I don't know what we're dealing with here, but it's not rabies.
You mentioned that they were unusually aggressive. Unusually aggressive. How?
Attacking without provocation, not fleeing when confronted, showing no fear response, which is very atypical for wild animals. In 2 cases, the animals in question had visible injuries, wounds that should have incapacitated them, but they kept moving, kept attacking. One of my deputies responded to a call about a dog attack on Pine Street. When he arrived, the dog his description was pale, aggressive, moving in this jerky, unnatural way. He had to shoot it. Took 3 shots before it stopped.
Sheriff, that description, pale skin, aggressive behavior, unusual movement, that matches witness accounts from Badger Creek in the early days of the outbreak.
I'm aware of the similarity, which is why I've requested assistance from state wildlife officials and the CDC. We need to know what's causing this behavioral change in local animals. Whether it's, I don't know, rabies, some environmental toxin, or something else.
Have you received any cooperation from Black Mesa in your investigation?
Limited. Very limited. I've requested access to the facility to determine if there's been any environmental contamination from the dock incident. They've declined, cited proprietary research and security concerns. I can't force access without a warrant, and right now I don't have sufficient cause for a judge to issue one.
What would constitute sufficient cause?
Evidence of a direct threat to public safety. And unfortunately, despite the concerning pattern we're seeing, I can't definitively link the animal attacks or the human injuries to anything happening at the Black Mesa facility. It's frustrating, but my hands are tied unless something changes.
Sheriff Charlotte Inwood, thank you for your time. We reached out to Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals for comment on tonight's reports. They issued the following statement: Black Mesa is committed to transparency and public safety. We have no evidence suggesting our operations are connected to the isolated incidents being reported. We continue to operate under strict federal oversight and welcome any legitimate investigation. Isolated incidents. That's what they're calling this. A dock worker who needed sedation for aggressive behavior then died. 3 additional workers with unexplained bite wounds. 7 animal attacks in 3 days featuring behavior that matches early Badger Creek reports, all isolated, all unconnected, nothing to worry about. And maybe that's true. Maybe these really are isolated incidents. Maybe the aggressive behavior is coincidental. Maybe the animal attacks are just bad luck and timing. Or maybe we're watching the early stages of something much worse. And by the time we have definitive proof, it'll be too late to stop it. I'm Rebecca Valentine. We'll continue monitoring this situation. Thank you for joining us.
My dear friends, I see the worry in your faces this morning. I've taken your calls this week. I've sat with families who are afraid. And I want you to know, I understand. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty. But it's not where our story has to end. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, Jesus tells his disciples something beautiful. He says, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they?" Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Pastor Wells, that's all well and good, but there are real problems happening on this island. The animals are acting strange, people have been hurt, the hospital is busier than usual. How can we not worry? And you're right. Jesus wasn't telling us to ignore reality. He wasn't saying pretend everything is fine when it isn't. What he was saying is this: don't let fear be the thing that guides you. Don't let anxiety make your decisions. Don't let worry separate you from each other, or from God, or from the truth of who you are as his children. I've walked through storms with you. Literal storms, economic storms, personal tragedies that felt like the end of the world. And you know what I've learned? This community is strongest when we face things together, when we care for each other, when we remember that we're not just neighbors, we're family. So here's what I want to say to you this morning. Yes, things are uncertain right now. Yes, we don't have all the answers, but we have each other, and we have a God who has never abandoned his people in their darkest hours. In the book of Philippians, chapter 4, Paul writes to a community that was facing real danger, real persecution, real reasons to be afraid. And he tells them, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Notice he doesn't say ignore the danger. He says bring it to God. Talk about it honestly. Don't pretend it's not there. But also don't let it consume you. Don't let fear win. This week, I want to give you some practical ways we can walk through this together. First, check on your neighbors, especially the elderly, the isolated, the ones who might not have family nearby. Make sure they have what they need. Make sure they're not alone with their worry. Second, stay informed, but don't let fear-mongering control you. There's a difference between being wise and being consumed by worst-case scenarios. Listen to the authorities. Yes. Ask questions. Absolutely. But don't spend every waking hour imagining disasters that haven't happened. Third, come together. This church will be open every evening this week for prayer. Just come and sit if you need to. Talk to each other. Share your concerns. We're setting up a community care network to help families who need support. If you need something, ask. If you can provide something, offer. That's what the body of Christ does. And finally, remember who you are. You are not defined by your fear. You are not defined by uncertainty. You are beloved children of God. You are people who have weathered storms before. You are a community that knows how to hold each other up. In the Gospel of John, chapter 14, Jesus is preparing to leave his disciples. They're terrified. They don't know what's coming. They don't understand how they'll go on without him. And Jesus tells them, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." The world gives us conditional peace. Peace when things are going well. Peace when we have answers. Peace when we feel in control. But Jesus offers something different. A peace that exists even in uncertainty, even in the valley, even when we can't see what's ahead. That doesn't mean we're reckless. It doesn't mean we're naive. It means we trust that whatever happens, we don't face it alone. God is with us. This community is with us. And that makes all the difference. So I'm not going to stand up here and tell you everything is fine. I'm not going to promise you there's nothing to worry about. What I'm going to tell you is this: whatever comes, we'll face it together. Whatever we need, we'll provide for each other. And whatever fear tries to steal from us, we'll reclaim it through faith, through love, through community. Let's pray together. And if you're comfortable, I want you to reach out and hold the hand of someone near you. Let's physically connect as a community as we bring this before God. Heavenly Father, we come to you with honest hearts. We're worried. We're uncertain. We don't understand everything that's happening on this island right now, but we know that you are faithful. We know that you have carried us through difficult times before, and we trust that you will carry us through whatever lies ahead. Give us wisdom to make good decisions. Give us courage to face our fears honestly. Give us compassion to care for our neighbors, and give us peace, that peace which transcends all understanding, to guard our hearts and minds. Help us to be the church in this moment, not a building, but a people, not an institution, but a family, not divided by fear, but united in love. We lift up those who are sick, those who are injured, those who are afraid. We lift up the medical workers at the hospital. We lift up our community leaders trying to navigate this situation. We lift up every person on this island who woke up this morning with worry in their heart. And we ask that you would be our refuge and our strength, a very present help in trouble. We don't know what tomorrow brings, but we know who holds tomorrow. And that is enough. We pray this in the mighty and loving name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and our Savior. Amen.
Good evening. The situation on Ironhold Island is escalating, and tonight, for the first time, I'm going to say what many of you are already thinking. In the past 72 hours, Ironhold Island has experienced a dramatic surge in violent incidents, multiple assaults, unexplained aggressive behavior, and injuries that, quite frankly, should not be possible in a community of 10,000 people living normal lives. Let me walk you through what's happened. Friday night, a fight broke out at McGinty's Tavern on Harbor Street. What started as a verbal argument between two patrons escalated into physical violence. Witnesses report that one man, after taking multiple blows that should have knocked him unconscious, kept fighting, kept attacking, even after suffering injuries that should have put him down. It took 4 people to restrain him. He's currently under observation at Ironhold General Hospital. Saturday morning, an incident at Ironhold Elementary School. A 12-year-old student attacked a classmate during recess without provocation. Teachers described the attack as unusually violent for a child that age. The student showed no remorse, no recognition of wrongdoing, and had to be physically removed from the playground. The child is now in psychiatric evaluation. The family has no history of behavioral issues. By all accounts, this was completely out of character. Sunday evening, Ironhold Island police responded to 6 separate domestic violence calls. 6 in a single night, in a community that typically averages 1 such call per month. In multiple cases, neighbors reported hearing animal-like sounds coming from inside the homes, growling, shrieks. Sheriff Charlotte Inwood tells us her department is overwhelmed. They don't have the resources to investigate all these incidents simultaneously. And more concerning, they don't have an explanation for why this is happening. Dr. Constance Peterson, director of Ironhold General Hospital, joins us again. Dr. Peterson, your hospital is seeing these cases firsthand. What can you tell us?
We're overwhelmed, Rebecca. In the past 3 days, we've treated 17 patients for injuries consistent with violent altercations, bite wounds, scratches, trauma consistent with being attacked by another person or an animal. What's unusual, what's deeply concerning, is the pattern we're seeing. Multiple victims describe their attackers as having unusual strength. Several report that the attackers showed no pain response even when injured. And in at least 4 cases, victims report their attackers had cloudy or pale eyes.
Dr. Peterson, are you seeing a viral infection?
I don't have confirmation of that. We've sent blood samples to the CDC for analysis. But Rebecca, I can't ignore the similarities. I've reviewed the Badger Creek medical reports. And what we're seeing here, it's following the same progression. Early stage behavioral changes, increased aggression, heightened pain tolerance, and then we'll see full conversion to whatever those creatures were.
Have you contacted federal health authorities?
Yes, multiple times. We've requested immediate assistance, emergency resources, guidance on containment procedures. The response has been limited. They're treating this as an isolated public health concern, not an outbreak. They don't seem to grasp the urgency.
or they're intentionally downplaying it.
I can't speak to their motivations, but I can tell you this. If we don't get help soon, if this continues to spread, my hospital cannot handle the patient load. We're already at capacity. We're running low on sedatives, on restraints, on basic supplies for treating aggressive patients.
We're now joined by Leon Chambers, who's been on Ironhold Island all week. Leon, you witnessed something this morning that I think our viewers need to hear about.
Yeah, Rebecca, I saw my first group of infected, or whatever we're calling them now. I was filming near the elementary school when I saw them coming down Pine Street. 5 of them. Most were just walking forward, slow, uncoordinated, arms hanging loose. But one of them, the one in front, he was different. He was moving with purpose, looking around. And then I saw him do something that made my blood run cold. There was a police officer trying to evacuate civilians from a storefront. The 4 slow infected, they just walked toward him, but the one in front, he stopped, looked at the officer, looked at the civilians, and then he moved to the side, positioning himself so the other infected were between him and the officer, using them as cover. He picked up a piece of rebar from the construction site, just reached down and grabbed it like he knew what it was for.
That doesn't sound like mindless behavior.
It wasn't. While the officer was focused on the 4 slow ones, this one, he circled around, went to a parked car, tried the door handle. Rebecca, he tried the door handle. When it didn't open, he moved to the next car, found one unlocked, pulled it open, used the car door as cover while the officer was shooting the others.
What happened?
Officer took down 3 of the slow ones, headshots, clean. But by that time, the smart one had gotten close, came at him from behind the car door. Officer turned, fired, hit him in the shoulder, didn't slow him down. Second shot to the chest, still coming. Third shot, headshot, finally dropped him. But Rebecca, that thing was thinking, planning. That wasn't Badger Creek behavior. That was something else. Rebecca, I got it on camera, everything. And yes, it looks like the witness descriptions from Badger Creek. The pale skin, the cloudy eyes, the wounds. But this tactical thinking, this problem solving, that's new. That's not what we saw 6 months ago.
Mayor Lena McLeodlaw has called an emergency town meeting for tomorrow night. We'll be broadcasting it live. The community is demanding answers, and frankly, so are we. I've reviewed footage from Badger Creek's early days. I've compared witness reports, medical symptoms, behavioral patterns, and I'm telling you tonight, as clearly as I can, what's happening on Ironhold Island matches those early outbreak phase. We have aggressive behavior in previously normal individuals. We have victims with bite wounds showing unusual strength and pain tolerance. We have animals attacking without provocation, exhibiting the same pale skin and clouded eyes. We have a hospital overwhelmed by unexplained violent incidents. This is not coincidence. This is not isolated. This is a pattern, and it's a pattern we've seen before. We reached out to Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals for comment. Dr. Alexander Sebastian declined to appear on camera, but issued this written statement. There is no evidence connecting recent incidents on Ironhold Island to our facility operations. We continue to operate under strict federal oversight and maintain full compliance with all safety regulations. Speculation and fear-mongering serve no one. The federal government released its own statement this evening. Recent events on Ironhold Island are being investigated by local authorities. There is no confirmed biological threat. Comparisons to Badger Creek are premature and irresponsible. The public is advised to remain calm and follow guidance from local officials. Premature and irresponsible. That's what they're calling it. Pattern recognition, evidence-based analysis. Remembering what happened 6 months ago and refusing to ignore the warning signs this time. Premature and irresponsible. You know what's actually irresponsible? Pretending this isn't happening. Telling people to remain calm while the evidence piles up. Dismissing legitimate concerns as fear-mongering while a community watches itself come apart. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I don't see what's happening. I'm not going to repeat comfortable lies while people suffer. This is the Z virus, or something very, very similar. And if we don't acknowledge that now, if we don't act now, then we're complicit in whatever comes next. Mayor McLeodlaw's emergency town meeting is tomorrow at 1900 hours. That's 7 p.m. We'll be there, and we'll be demanding answers, because this time, we're not going to stay silent. I'm Rebecca Valentine. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, night owls. This is Jake Birkin, and you're listening to the Birkin Report. It's 2:17 a.m. on the East Coast, and if you're awake right now, you're either worried, curious, or you know something the rest of the world doesn't want to hear. Tonight, we're talking about Ironhold Island. And joining me, calling in from an undisclosed location, is Dr. Nathan Roper. Dr. Roper served as scientific analyst during the Badger Creek outbreak. He's been following Ironhold Island closely, and folks, what he has to say, it's going to keep you up for the rest of the night. Dr. Roper, welcome to the show.
Jake, thanks for having me. Though I wish I was calling to tell people they're wrong about this.
But they're not wrong.
No, they're not wrong. I've been reviewing the medical reports from Ironhold General, the police incident logs, witness testimonies, and Jake, I see the pattern. I see exactly what everyone's seeing. Early stage behavioral changes in infected individuals, increased aggression, heightened pain tolerance that progresses to complete pain immunity, the pale skin, the clouded eyes, the unusual strength. These are the hallmarks of Z-virus infection, the exact same progression we documented in Badger Creek.
So we're looking at Z-virus, the same bioweapon that killed 30,000 people 6 months ago.
It has all the characteristics of Z-virus, yes. But John, there are differences, significant differences that actually concern me more than if this was just a repeat of Badger Creek.
Now that's interesting, because I've been getting calls all week from people on the island, people who are terrified, and they're all saying the same thing. This feels different, worse somehow. What kind of differences are we talking about?
Intelligence, strategy. In Badger Creek, the infected were mindless, pure predatory instinct. They hunted, they attacked, they fed, but there was no higher reasoning, no planning, no adaptation beyond basic pack coordination. The reports from Ironhold Island, they describe something different. Infected individuals who seem to be learning, adapting their tactics, showing what witnesses describe as calculated behavior.
Calculated? You mean these things are thinking?
On some level, yes. The infected attack that reporter Leon Chambers witnessed. There were 5 infected total, and 4 of them were just walking forward, mindless, uncoordinated. But the 5th one, he was different. He positioned the other infected between himself and the police officer, used them as shields, then he picked up a weapon, rebar, and when the officer was distracted, this infected tried car door handles until he found one unlocked. Used the car door as cover while approaching. That's not mindless aggression, Jake. That's tactical thinking. Similarly, in several of the human attacks, victims report their attackers using basic tools, opening doors, picking up objects as weapons. One report describes an infected individual who seemed to be testing the lock on a window before attempting to break it. Testing. Problem solving. In Badger Creek, infected would just throw themselves at barriers until they broke through. No planning, no strategy, just relentless assault. But on Ironhold Island, we're seeing something smarter.
Jesus. So what you're telling my listeners out there is that someone took the Z-virus, the thing that already turned people into killing machines, and they made it better. They gave it the ability to think.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Someone engineered an improvement. Someone took the Z-virus and enhanced it, maintained the core function, the reanimation, the pain immunity, the predatory drive, but added a layer of intelligence that the original virus lacked. They made it better, more effective, more dangerous.
And who would do something like that? I mean, who looks at Badger Creek, 30,000 dead, and thinks, you know what we need? A smarter version of that nightmare.
The same people who created the original Z virus, the same military contractors who funded Aperture's research. Jake, Badger Creek wasn't the end of the program. It was a learning experience. They took the data from that outbreak, identified the weaknesses in the virus, and refined it. Black Mesa isn't a new company. It's the next iteration of APSA. Same research, same goals, improved methodology, and Ironhold Island isn't an accident. It's phase 2.
Phase 2. Man, I've got to tell you, my listeners have been calling in all week saying this, saying Black Mesa is just Aperture with a new coat of paint, and you're confirming it. A scientist, someone who was there, you're telling us this is real. So what is phase 2? What are they actually trying to create here?
A bioweapon development program, creating the perfect soldier. Relentless, fearless, immune to pain, but now capable of strategy, capable of following complex orders, capable of adapting to changing battlefield conditions. The original Z virus turned people into mindless predators. Effective, yes, but limited. This new variant, this refined version, Black Mesa is trying to create a version of the Z virus that would allow the infected to maintain cognitive function, enough to make tactical decisions, enough to operate weapons, navigate complex environments, pursue specific targets. As we can see on the island, they are getting closer. It's everything the military could want in a bioweapon.
Dr. Roper, if you're right about this, if this really is an engineered improvement over the original Z virus, what does that mean for stopping it? Can it even be stopped?
It means everything we learned from Badger Creek might not apply. The original virus spread through direct contact, primarily bites. Incubation period was 6 to 24 hours. Containment was theoretically possible with strict quarantine measures, but if they've modified the virus, if they've changed its characteristics, we don't know the new transmission vector. We don't know the incubation period. We don't know if standard containment procedures will work. We're operating blind, Jake. And by the time we figure out the rules of this new virus, it might be too late to stop it.
So what do people do? I've got listeners on Ironhold Island right now listening to this show, probably terrified out of their minds. What do you tell them?
Leave. Get off that island. Now, don't wait for official evacuation orders. Don't wait for the government to acknowledge what's happening. By the time they admit this is an outbreak, by the time they authorize evacuation, it'll be too late. We saw this in Badger Creek. 2 weeks from first symptoms to complete chaos. 2 weeks? Ironhold Island is, 8-9 days in? That means they have less than a week before things deteriorate beyond recovery. Less than a week before the ferry stops running, before the island gets quarantined, before everyone still there is trapped. Get out while you still can. While you still can.
And if the government tries to stop them, if they block the evacuation,
then the government is complicit in murder. Again, because that's what a quarantine becomes when you know what's inside it. It becomes a death sentence. 30,000 people learned that in Badger Creek. How many more need to die before we stop trusting the same institutions that enabled this?
Dr. Roper, I want to thank you for coming on tonight, for having the courage to speak out about this. I know there are people who are going to call you paranoid, call you a conspiracy theorist, try to discredit what you're saying, but you were there in Badger Creek, you saw it firsthand, and I believe you. Stay safe out there, Doctor.
Yeah, you too, Jake. And listen, to everyone listening, I know this sounds like fear-mongering. I know it sounds extreme. But please, if you're on that island, if you have family there, get them out. Don't wait. Don't assume the authorities will protect you, because there's a point, a tipping point, where escape becomes impossible. And I think Ironhold Island is getting very, very close to that line.
Folks, you heard it here. Dr. Nathan Roper, one of the few people who actually understands what we're dealing with, telling us this is real, this is happening, and time is running out. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I want to open the lines. If you're on Ironhold Island, if you're seeing things, experiencing things, I want to hear from you. The number is on your screen. Call in, tell your story, because the mainstream media won't. This is Jake Birkin. You're listening to the Birkin Report, and we'll be right back.
Good evening. I'm Rebecca Valentine, and tonight we bring you breaking news from Ironhold Island. The federal government has confirmed what we've been reporting for the past week. There is a biological outbreak on Ironhold Island, and quarantine procedures are now in effect. What began 10 days ago as isolated incidents has escalated into what officials are now calling a public health emergency. We go live to Leon Chambers, who's been on the island since this crisis began. Leon.
Rebecca, I'm standing about 300 yards from the main facility entrance, and what I'm seeing right now is it's like nothing I've ever witnessed. Federal troops arrived approximately 2 hours ago, armored personnel carriers, helicopters, soldiers in full hazmat gear. They've established a perimeter around the Black Mesa facility. But Rebecca, the problem is they're not just containing the facility, they're containing the entire island. The ferry service has been suspended. All maritime traffic in and out of Ironhold Island has been stopped. Coast Guard vessels are maintaining a 2-mile exclusion zone around the island. Anyone attempting to leave by boat is being turned back. I spoke with Sheriff Charlotte Inwood about 20 minutes ago, and she told me evacuation buses were supposed to arrive this morning. They never came. The bridges, the only road connection to the mainland, they've been blocked by military checkpoints. Nobody in, nobody out.
Leon, can you describe what you're seeing in terms of the creatures that have been reported?
Yeah, Rebecca, I need to be honest with you. What I'm about to describe sounds impossible, but I'm looking at it right now. There are infected moving in the tree line about 50 yards from my position, but these aren't like the shambling infected we saw in the Badger Creek footage. These are different, faster. Some of them are moving with purpose, coordination. They're flanking, hunting in organized groups. And then there are others, the slow ones, the ones that just stumble forward. Two distinct types. Earlier today, I witnessed one of the fast ones chase down a man who was trying to reach the evacuation point. It covered maybe 80 yards in, I don't know, seconds, running, actually running. The military opened fire, but it took sustained automatic fire to bring it down. And Rebecca, here's what's terrifying. Some of the infected, the fast ones, they're using basic tools, opening doors, picking up objects. But the slow ones, the traditional infected, they're just as dangerous because there are so many of them.
What about the infected, the people who've been converted by this virus?
They're everywhere. Ironhold General Hospital was overrun this morning. Dr. Constance Peterson, the hospital director, she managed to get out with maybe a dozen staff members, but they had to abandon the facility. She told me there were infected patients, infected staff, infected visitors, all of them turned. The downtown area, Main Street, it's become a war zone. Infected are attacking anyone they find. And the dogs, Rebecca, the infected dogs are hunting in packs of 10, 15 animals. I watched Sheriff Inwood's deputies engage a pack of infected dogs about an hour ago. They emptied their magazines, and most of those rounds hit their targets, but the dogs kept coming. Headshots are the only thing that stops them immediately. Anything else, they keep fighting. One dog took 4 body shots and still managed to reach a deputy before it went down. Back to you in the studio.
Leon, stay safe. We're now joined by Dr. Constance Peterson, who, as Leon just mentioned, evacuated Ironhold General Hospital this morning. Dr. Peterson, thank you for speaking with us under these circumstances.
I don't know if thank you is appropriate, but yes, I'm here.
Can you describe what happened at the hospital?
We've been treating infected patients for the past week. Bite wounds, lacerations, severe trauma. The injuries were consistent with attacks by predatory animals, but the attackers were human, or they had been. Yesterday afternoon, one of our patients in the intensive care unit, a man named Thomas Blaney, he died from his injuries. Massive blood loss, Organ failure. We pronounced him dead at 4:15 p.m. At 4:47, Thomas Blaney stood up. He was dead, Rebecca. No heartbeat, no respiration, no brain activity. We'd already called his family. And then he got up off the table and attacked the nearest nurse. Within an hour, we had 6 infected staff members. By midnight, the entire first floor was compromised. We tried to establish quarantine procedures, lock down infected wings, but it spread too fast.
How did you escape?
We barricaded ourselves in the administrative wing on the 3rd floor. We could hear them outside the doors, pounding, scratching, making these sounds. Not human, not animal. This morning, around 6 a.m., federal troops arrived and cleared a path to the emergency exit. We ran. I left patients behind, Rebecca. People who were still human, still alive, and I left them because there was no other choice.
Dr. Peterson, in your medical opinion, what are we dealing with here?
This is a variant of the Z virus. The same bioweapon that destroyed Badger Creek 6 months ago. But there's something else here, too. A second strain. We're calling it Z-Freeman. The standard Z virus infected are exactly what we saw in Badger Creek. Slow, mindless, driven by hunger. But the Z-Freeman infected, they retain fragments of cognitive function. Not intelligence, exactly, but enough to use basic problem solving. They can operate door handles, use simple tools, coordinate basic tactics. One Z-Freeman infected used a chair to break through a reinforced window. Another figured out how to unlatch a security door. They're still infected, still driven to attack, but they're not mindless. This isn't mindless reanimation. This is weaponized evolution. And I don't know if we can stop it.
We've just received confirmation that Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals has ceased all communications. The facility went dark approximately 3 hours ago. All phone lines disconnected, all internet access terminated, all security cameras offline. Federal authorities are describing this as a, quote, strategic containment failure, which means, in plain English, that whatever Black Mesa was researching in that facility, it's gotten out. We'll continue monitoring this situation throughout the evening. For now, federal authorities are urging all residents of Ironhold Island to remain indoors, secure all entry points, and await further instructions. The state of Maine has declared a state of emergency, and the National Guard is being mobilized to support containment efforts. We'll bring you updates as this story develops. I'm Rebecca Valentine. Stay safe.
This is the emergency alert system. This is not a test. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has issued an emergency order for all residents of Ironhold Island, Maine. A biological hazard has been confirmed on the island. All residents are ordered to shelter in place immediately. If you are at home, remain indoors. Lock all doors and windows. Do not open your doors for any reason. Do not leave your residence. Avoid contact with anyone exhibiting unusual behavior or signs of illness. If you are unable to safely reach your home, proceed immediately to Ironhold High School. The gymnasium has been designated as an emergency shelter. Law enforcement and emergency medical personnel are on site. Do not attempt to travel if you observe aggressive individuals or animals in your area. Remain where you are and call 911. Do not use the ferry terminal. Ferry service has been suspended. Do not attempt to leave the island by private boat. A federal quarantine is in effect. All unauthorized vessels will be turned back. Repeat. Shelter in place immediately. If unable to reach home safely, proceed to Ironhold High School Gymnasium. Do not approach or engage with individuals displaying aggressive behavior. Federal assistance is being deployed. Remain calm. Stay indoors. Await further instructions. This is the emergency alert system. This is not a test.
This is Sam Spade on emergency frequency 7.25 megahertz. I'm trying to reach anyone with information on European pharmaceutical facilities, specifically former Aperture locations. Please respond. Anyone. I'm looking for someone. Jill Spade, my sister. Last known location was Paris, investigating the Aperture Corporation facility before it was shut down. That was 4 months ago. I haven't heard from her since.
This is John Roby, former intelligence contractor, European operations. Sam Spade? I know who you are. You survived the main outbreak.
Yeah, I survived. But right now I don't care about that. I need to know about my sister. She was trying to find evidence, proof that Aperture was continuing research after the outbreak. She thought the European facilities had documentation that could expose the whole program. Then she went dark.
I heard about that. Your sister, she was captured.
Captured? By who?
Aperture security contractors. She tried to infiltrate the Paris facility, got inside, accessed some classified files, but they caught her before she could get out. That was, 4 months ago sounds right.
Where is she now? Is she alive?
I don't know. I'm sorry, but I honestly don't know. After Aperture officially shut down operations in Europe, everything went underground. Personnel transfers, asset relocations, records purged. But there are rumors.
What rumors?
That Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals took over everything. Every asset, every facility, every piece of research. Aperture didn't shut down. They rebranded. Black Mesa is Aperture. Same executives, same contractors, same bioweapon program. If your sister was taken by Aperture, Black Mesa has her now.
Black Mesa. The company operating on Ironhold Island.
That's right. Have you seen the reports of what's happening on Ironhold?
I've seen enough. Infected showing up. Unusual animal behavior. It's starting again. Same pattern.
Worse than before. The variant they're deploying on Ironhold, it's designated Z-Freeman, named after one of the founding member of Aperture, Gordon Freeman. It's an improvement over the original Z-virus.
Improvement how?
Intelligence. The original Z-virus destroyed higher cognitive function, turned infected into mindless predators. Z-Freeman retains tactical thinking, problem solving. The infected are smarter. They coordinate, they adapt. Some reports suggest they can even use basic tools, open doors, navigate complex environments.
Jesus! That's worse.
It's what they wanted. A bioweapon that doesn't just kill, but thinks, hunts intelligently. The Z-Freeman variant is what Aperture was developing all along.
And my sister? If Black Mesa has her, where would they take her?
If she's still alive, then that's a big if. They'd keep her somewhere secure, somewhere they could control information. Ironhold Island has an underground research facility, multiple levels. If they're holding prisoners, detainees, people who know too much, that's where they'd be.
You're saying she might be on Ironhold?
I'm saying it's possible. But Sam, listen to me. If you're thinking about going there, if you're planning some kind of rescue operation, you need to understand what you're walking into. Ironhold is an active outbreak zone, military quarantine. Z-Freeman infected everywhere. You go there now, you're not coming back out.
She's my sister. If there's even a chance she's alive, if there's any possibility she's trapped in that facility, I have to try.
Then you're gonna need help. Intel. Equipment. You can't just walk onto a quarantined island.
I'll find a way. I got out of one outbreak, I can get into another.
The difference is, you weren't trying to get in last time. You were trying to survive. This is different. This is deliberate infiltration into an active bioweapon outbreak zone. The odds of success are, they're not good.
I don't care about the odds. She came looking for evidence because of what happened. Because she wanted to expose the people responsible.
All right. I respect that. I'll send you what information I have. Facility layouts, security information, known entry points. But Sam, you need to know something else.
What?
The underground facility on Ironhold. It's not just a research lab. It's a containment site. They're holding test subjects there, infected. If your sister's in there, she's not alone. And whatever else is in there with her, it's dangerous.
Noted. Send me everything you have. And John, thank you for telling me the truth.
Good luck, Sam. You're going to need it.
Jill, I'm coming. Just hold on a little longer.
Good evening. What I'm about to tell you will fundamentally change how you understand the crisis on Ironhold Island. Tonight, we have obtained documents that prove Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals is not a new company. It is Aperture Pharmaceuticals operating under a different name. The same corporation responsible for the Badger Creek massacre 6 months ago has been conducting research on Ironhold Island since the day the facility reopened. Same executives, same research, same bioweapons program. They simply changed the letterhead. These documents, leaked by an anonymous source within the federal government, show that Dr. Alexander Sebastian, the CEO of Black Mesa, is a Defense Department operative with security clearances dating back 17 years. His real name is Dr. Thomas Sebastian, and he previously served as Deputy Director of Biological Weapons Research for the DoD. Lisa Fremont, Black Mesa's Corporate Relations Director, is actually Lisa Ashenden, former spokesperson for Aperture Pharmaceuticals. She was present during the Badger Creek outbreak. She knew what was happening then, and she came to Ironhold Island anyway. Federal agents arrested Miss Ashenden approximately 3 hours ago. She has refused to make any statement. Dr. Sebastian's current location is unknown. He was last seen entering the Black Mesa facility on day 12 of the outbreak, and he has not been seen since. We now go to Leon Chambers, who has new information about the facility itself. Leon?
Rebecca, I'm standing about a quarter mile from the Black Mesa facility, and what we've learned in the past few hours is it's staggering. This was never a pharmaceutical research center. The entire facility is an underground fortress designed for bioweapons development and containment. According to the leaked documents, the facility has 4 levels extending approximately 200 feet below ground. Level 1, the surface level, that's legitimate pharmaceutical research. It's the cover story. If regulators or journalists ever toured the facility, they'd see exactly what they expected to see. Clean labs, researchers working on pain management drugs, everything above board. But levels 2 through 4, that's where the real work was happening. Level 2 is dedicated to Z-virus development. The documents describe it as refinement of the Badger Creek variant for enhanced transmission efficiency and cognitive preservation. This variant has been designated the Z-Freeman virus, named after one of the founding member of Aperture, Gordon Freeman. They were improving the virus, Rebecca, making it spread faster, making the infected smarter, making it more effective as a weapon. Level 3 is creature experimentation. This is where they kept the bioengineered organisms, the reptilian predators, the mutated specimens, and other things that haven't been publicly confirmed yet. The leaked schematics show containment cells, behavioral observation chambers, combat testing arenas. They were breeding these things, studying them, training them to hunt. Level 4 is deployment planning. This level contains strategic documents outlining how to deploy biological weapons in urban environments, how to manage population panic, how to establish quarantine zones, and this is the part that's going to upset people, how to justify mass casualty events to the public. They had playbooks, Rebecca, step-by-step guides for turning American cities into outbreak zones. And there's something else. The documents reference a hidden substructure beneath level 4. The schematics label it simply as detention wing. No details about who's being held there or for what purpose. Just detention cells, security checkpoints, isolated ventilation system. It's completely off the official facility blueprint. We don't know who's down there, Rebecca. We don't know why they're there. But somebody at Black Mesa wanted to keep people locked up in a bioweapons research facility, hidden even from most of the staff.
Leon, are you saying they planned this? The Ironhold Island outbreak was intentional?
That's what's unclear. The facility was absolutely conducting bioweapons research, that's documented, but the outbreak itself, the initial release, appears to have been a containment failure on the cargo ship, the Cassandra. The equipment malfunctioned during unloading. According to these documents, that wasn't equipment failure, that was a breach in one of the containment units being transported from a European facility. The documents show they were relocating assets, research specimens from Aperture's Paris location to Ironhold Island. Something went wrong during transport. The containment failed, and instead of immediately notifying authorities, Black Mesa Security tried to handle it internally. By the time they realized the situation was beyond their control, infected specimens had already escaped into the local population.
The federal government has issued a statement within the past hour. I'm going to read it in full. The facility on Ironhold Island was operating under a classified Department of Defense contract investigating potential medical countermeasures to biological threats. Research conducted at the facility was authorized under federal statute and subject to appropriate oversight. The current outbreak represents an unforeseen containment failure, and all responsible parties will be held accountable. President Marlene Jackson has ordered a full investigation into the circumstances surrounding this incident. Let me translate that for you. The government admits the facility was researching bioweapons. They claim it was defensive research, countermeasures, which is the same justification they used for Badger Creek. They're calling this an unforeseen containment failure, which implies it was an accident. But Leon just told us there are deployment schedules and target populations in the leaked documents. So either the government is lying about this being an accident, or they're so compartmentalized that the people authorizing the research don't know what the researchers are actually doing. Either way, it's a system failure of catastrophic proportions. We're joined now by Sheriff Charlotte Inwood, who has been coordinating law enforcement response on Ironhold Island since the outbreak began. Sheriff Inwood, thank you for speaking with us.
I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this, Rebecca. My department has 43 deputies. 18 are confirmed dead. 11 are infected. 8 are missing, presumed either dead or converted. I've got 6 deputies still operational, and we're trying to protect maybe 200 civilians who've barricaded themselves in the high school gymnasium.
How long can you hold that position?
We can't. The infected are testing the perimeter constantly. They attack, we repel them, they withdraw and try a different approach. They're learning. Rebecca, every time we successfully defend a breach point, they stop attacking there and find a new weak spot. Last night they tried to get in through the ventilation system. We sealed it off. This morning they tried to break through the gymnasium floor from the basement. We reinforced it. Tonight, I don't know what they'll try.
Have you been in contact with federal authorities? Are they planning an evacuation?
We're in contact with federal authorities. They've confirmed evacuation operations are being planned. We just need to hold our position until they can get helicopters in safely.
What's your plan while you wait for extraction?
We fortify, we ration, we survive. I've got supply teams making runs to nearby stores when we can. Food, water, medical supplies, ammunition. We're reinforcing the gymnasium. Steel plates over the windows, welded bars on the doors. We've established a watch rotation. 6 deputies, 4-hour shifts each. The civilians who can fight, we've armed them, taught them basic defensive positions. Everyone else stays in the center of the gym, away from the walls, away from potential breach points. My daughter Emily is in there with them. She's 14, she's scared, but she's also helping, organizing the younger kids, keeping them calm. She's stronger than I ever gave her credit for.
How long can you maintain this defensive position?
As long as we have to. We've got food for maybe 2 weeks, we're careful. Ammunition for, it depends on how often they attack. If they hit us hard every night like they have been, maybe 3 or 4 more days before we're down to melee weapons. But federal authorities know our situation. They're working on extraction. We just have to hold until they can get us out. The infected are persistent, but we're organized. They're strong, but we're smarter.
What do you need? What can we do to help?
Keep broadcasting our position. Keep reminding federal authorities that there are survivors here. 200 civilians, 6 law enforcement officers. We're at Ironhold Island High School, main gymnasium. We're alive, we're organized, we're waiting for extraction. Just don't let them forget we're here. And tell your viewers that we're not giving up. My name is Charlotte Inwood. I'm the sheriff of Ironhold Island. I have a job to do, protect and serve. And I'm going to keep doing that job until help arrives or until I can't anymore. These people are counting on me. My daughter is counting on me. I'm not going to let them down.
Sheriff, Stay strong. We'll keep broadcasting your position. Federal authorities are listening. We've just received word that President Marlene Jackson will address the nation tomorrow evening. The White House is describing it as a major policy announcement regarding domestic security. We'll bring you that address live as it happens. In the meantime, the leaked documents continue to reveal the scope of this program. Black Mesa Pharmaceuticals received over $400 million in federal funding over the past 18 months. That money came from the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, and several unnamed private defense contractors, the same contractors that funded Aperture Pharmaceuticals before Badger Creek. We're also learning that multiple government officials knew about the research being conducted on Ironhold Island and approved it. Senator Richard Haney, chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, signed off on the facility's security clearances. He has refused to comment. Secretary of Defense Margaret Lockwood provided the initial funding authorization. She issued a statement saying all research was conducted in accordance with applicable federal statutes and international agreements, which doesn't address whether the research should have been conducted in the first place. The conspiracy isn't a theory anymore. It's documented, it's funded, it's authorized at the highest levels of government. And tonight, as we sit in comfortable studios and watch this unfold on our screens, there are 200 people in a high school gymnasium on Ironhold Island waiting to die, because their government decided they were acceptable casualties in a research program designed to develop better ways to kill people. We have failed them. We have failed to demand accountability after Badger Creek. We have failed to prevent this from happening again. We have failed to protect our own citizens from the institutions that are supposed to serve them. And unless something changes, unless people demand answers and consequences, we will fail the next town and the town after that until this stops being an isolated tragedy and becomes a normalized cost of doing business. I'm Rebecca Valentine. We'll continue monitoring Ironhold Island throughout the night. For those of you just joining us, the government has admitted conducting bioweapons research on American soil. They have admitted that the facility on Ironhold Island was operating under federal authorization. The outbreak appears to have been accidental, a containment failure during transport. But the program itself, the decision to create these bioweapons, to transport them through civilian populations, to prioritize secrecy over safety, that was all intentional. Stay with us.
What I'm about to tell you is going to sound insane. I've been saying that for years, haven't I? Every episode, every broadcast, I warn you that what you're about to hear sounds impossible. And then it turns out to be true. Badger Creek, I called it 6 weeks before it happened, told you Aperture Pharmaceuticals was developing bioweapons. You didn't believe me. Ironhold Island, I had the shipping manifest 3 days after the facility opened, biological containment units, cryogenic samples, hazmat equipment. You didn't believe me then either. So I'm not going to apologize for what I'm about to tell you. I'm just going to show you the evidence and let you decide whether you want to keep pretending this isn't happening. I have documents, classified research files from the Black Mesa facility that were uploaded to a secure server before the outbreak. Someone inside that facility, someone who knew what was coming, they made sure these files got out. And what these files reveal is that the Z virus outbreak on Ironhold Island, as horrifying as it is, was only half the story. There's a second bioweapon program, something they've been developing alongside the virus, something organic, persistent, and damn near impossible to kill. They're calling it the mold. Not just mold, not the stuff you find in your bathroom or your basement. This is a weaponized fungal organism that was discovered in, get this, a cave system in Eastern Europe back in 2003. The research files describe it as a superorganism, a colony intelligence. Individual mold spores communicate with each other through chemical signals, coordinating growth patterns, resource allocation, even predatory behavior. It's like a giant brain spread across acres of fungal matter, and every piece of that brain can think. Here's what the mold does. It spreads through airborne spores. You breathe them in. You don't even know you've been infected. The spores colonize your lungs, your nervous system, your brain, and then they start growing. Over days, sometimes weeks, the mold takes over your body from the inside. Your skin develops black patches. Your limbs stiffen. You start hearing voices, seeing things that aren't there because the mold is hijacking your neural pathways. And here's the nightmare part. Unlike the Z virus, which destroys your consciousness and leaves you as a mindless predator, the mold keeps you aware. You know what's happening to you. You can feel the fungus spreading through your body. You can hear the voice of the colony in your head telling you what to do, overriding your will. But you're still in there, still conscious, still aware, just trapped, imprisoned in your own body while something else controls it. The documents describe test subjects who retained speech even after advanced infection. They could talk, they could beg for help, they could describe what was being done to them. And then the mold would override their voluntary motor control and force them to attack the researchers. Imagine that. Imagine watching your own hands strangle someone while you scream at yourself to stop, and you can't because you're not in control anymore. But it gets worse. Oh, it gets so much worse. The mold doesn't just infect people, it changes the environment. It grows on walls, floors, ceilings. It spreads through ventilation systems, water pipes, electrical conduits. Entire buildings become mold colonies. And when the mold reaches a certain density, when the spore concentration in the air hits critical mass, it starts creating its own creatures. They're called molded, humanoid constructs made entirely of fungal matter. The documents include photographs. I'm looking at them right now. These things look like humans, vaguely, but they're covered in black slime. No eyes, no recognizable features, just shapes. And they're slow, much slower than the Z virus infected. But here's the thing, you can't kill them, not easily. Shoot them, they regenerate. Stab them, they heal. The only way to permanently destroy a molded creature is extreme heat or chemical dissolution. Fire works, strong acids work, everything else, they just keep coming. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The Black Mesa facility wasn't just researching the Z virus and the mold separately. They were combining them. The documents describe experiments where Z virus infected subjects were deliberately exposed to mold spores. The result is a hybrid, something that has the aggression and resilience of the Z virus infected, plus the regenerative capabilities and environmental persistence of the mold. You create a creature that's fast enough to hunt you down, smart enough to coordinate with others, and resilient enough to survive injuries that would kill anything else. Why would they do this? Why would anyone create such a thing? Because one bioweapon wasn't enough. The Z virus is effective for rapid population conversion. You deploy it in an urban environment, and within 48 hours, you've got thousands of infected spreading exponentially. But it has limitations. The infected eventually decay. The virus doesn't persist in the environment. If you wait long enough, the outbreak burns itself out. The mold solves that problem. The mold is permanent. It spreads through buildings, through infrastructure, through entire city blocks, and it never goes away, not on its own. You could deploy mold spores in a city, wait 6 months, and the contamination would still be spreading, growing. You'd have to demolish every building, incinerate every surface, sterilize every square inch of ground. It's a denial weapon. You release the mold in enemy territory, and that territory becomes uninhabitable permanently. Now let me connect some dots for you. The research documents I've obtained mention something called mycological field studies dating back to 1997. That's 28 years of research into weaponized fungal organisms, 28 years. This isn't some recent development. This isn't a side project. This is a long-term, heavily funded, multi-decade bioweapons program that has been running in parallel with the Z virus research. And here's the terrifying part. The documents reference deployment in controlled outbreak scenarios. Ironhold Island is one of those scenarios. They didn't just release the Z virus, they released the mold. Right now, as we're speaking, that island is becoming a mold colony. The spore density in the air is increasing every hour. Buildings are being consumed by fungal growth. And the survivors, the people trapped in that gymnasium Sheriff Inwood told us about, they're breathing mold spores. They don't know it yet, but they're already infected. And this is the part that should terrify you. The mold outbreak on Ironhold Island isn't accidental, it's intentional. The documents describe controlled environmental contamination to assess long-term persistence and creature generation rates. They released the mold on purpose. They wanted to see how fast it would spread, how many molded creatures it would create, how survivors would respond to dual infection vectors. This is phase 2. Badger Creek was phase 1. Pure Z-virus deployment in an isolated population. Ironhold Island is phase 2. Combined Z-virus and mold deployment. And the documents reference phase 3 trials at multiple locations. West Virginia, Nevada, Utah, 3 more facilities, 3 more potential outbreak sites, each one testing a different variant, a different combination, a different deployment strategy. I've mapped the facility locations. West Virginia facility is in a rural mining community, population 8,000. Nevada facility is outside a small desert town, population 5,000. Utah facility is near a ski resort community, population 12,000. Do you see the pattern? Isolated populations, limited infrastructure, economic dependence on a single industry. The same profile as Badger Creek, the same profile as Ironhold Island. And all 3 facilities are operated by companies with ties to the same defense contractors, the same military liaisons, the same funding sources. Different names: Monarch Industries in West Virginia, Tricell Pharmaceuticals in Nevada, Wesker Biotech in Utah. But if you trace the money, if you follow the personnel transfers, if you look at the security clearances, it's the same program, just distributed across multiple sites to minimize the risk of complete exposure. Here's what I think is happening. I think each facility is testing a different bioweapon variant. Badger Creek tested baseline Z-virus transmission. Ironhold Island is testing Z-virus plus mold hybrid deployment, what the documents call the Z-Freeman variant. The other 3 facilities, I don't know what they're testing, but the documents reference something called ECHO protocol, airborne transmission with near complete infection rates within 72 hours of exposure. Think about what that means. An airborne bioweapon that infects everyone who breathes it. Not just people who get bitten, not just people in direct contact with infected individuals, everyone. You release ECHO protocol in a city, and within 3 days, the entire population is infected. Millions of people, all converted, all under the influence of whatever this thing does to the human brain, and we can't stop it. That's what makes me so angry. That's what keeps me up at night. We know this is happening. We have the documents, we have the evidence, we have survivors testifying to what they've seen, and nothing changes. The government issues statements about accountability and investigation. The media covers it for a week and then moves on. People express outrage on social media and then forget about it when the next crisis hits the news cycle. Badger Creek happened 6 months ago. 30,000 people died. Did anything change? Did anyone go to jail? Did the bioweapons program shut down? No. They just moved to a new location and kept going. Ironhold Island is happening right now. Thousands of people are going to die. And 6 months from now, will anything be different? Or will we be watching the same thing unfold in West Virginia, Nevada, Utah? So here's what I'm asking you to do. Share this episode. Download it, distribute it, send it to your representative, send it to journalists, send it to anyone who might listen. Don't let them bury this story. Don't let them pretend Ironhold Island was an isolated accident. This is a program, a coordinated, funded, authorized program to develop and deploy bioweapons on American soil, and it's going to continue until we force it to stop. The documents are available on my website. I've uploaded everything: facility schematics, research protocols, funding authorizations, deployment schedules. It's all there. Verify it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Look at the evidence and make your own conclusions. But I'm telling you right now, this is bigger than Ironhold Island. This is bigger than Badger Creek. This is a systematic program to turn American cities into outbreak zones, gather data, refine the weapons, and eventually deploy them internationally. And we're running out of time to stop it. Stay vigilant, stay informed. And for God's sakes, don't trust the people who tell you everything's under control, because it's not. It never was. And it's only going to get worse.
Good evening. We're interrupting our scheduled programming with breaking news from Ironhold Island. Approximately 4 hours ago, there was a massive explosion at the Black Mesa Pharmaceutical facility. The blast was felt over a mile away, and initial reports suggest the entire complex has been destroyed. We go now to Leon Chambers, who witnessed the explosion. Leon, what happened?
Rebecca, I was downtown when it happened. The ground shook, windows rattled. I turned toward the facility and saw this massive fireball rising from the main complex. Multiple secondary explosions followed. The entire facility, all 5 above-ground structures and presumably the underground levels, they're either destroyed or heavily damaged. There's nothing left but a smoking crater. Federal sources initially said it was an automatic containment system, that when the facility detected total contamination, it triggered self-destruct mechanisms to prevent, something worse from getting out. But Rebecca, I've been hearing conflicting reports. Some military personnel are saying the explosion pattern doesn't match automated systems, that it looked deliberate, coordinated, like someone set charges manually.
Are they suggesting sabotage?
They're not saying anything officially. But off the record, yeah, some soldiers think someone got into that facility and deliberately destroyed it. Whether to destroy evidence, eliminate research materials, or prevent something specific from being recovered, we don't know. All we know is that the facility that started this nightmare is now gone. But here's the problem. The explosion scattered debris across a massive area. Concrete, steel, glass, and contaminated material. We're seeing accelerated mold growth everywhere the debris landed. What was maybe a 300-yard contamination radius around the facility is now closer to half a mile. The explosion made everything worse.
Mold growth? Leon, can you describe what you're seeing?
Rebecca, I'm on the outskirts of downtown Ironhold now, about 3 blocks from Main Street, and I can barely describe what I'm looking at. The mold contamination has reached the town center, not patches, not isolated growth. Entire buildings are completely consumed by black mold. Thick, wet, almost liquid-looking fungal matter coating every surface. The streets are slick with it. The trees are covered. Storefronts, homes, the old church on the corner, all of it buried under this spreading fungal growth. It's moving outward from multiple points, not just where the facility was, expanding at, maybe 50 yards per hour. And the smell, God, the smell it's like rot and chemicals mixed together. Makes your eyes water, makes it hard to breathe. People who get too close to the mold growth start coughing, wheezing. Dr. Peterson warned us about spore inhalation, so we're keeping our distance, but I can see it in the air, tiny black particles drifting on the wind.
You mentioned seeing something emerging from the mold. New creatures?
Yeah, you're calling them molded. I've seen 3 of them so far. They look humanoid, sort of, but they're made entirely of this black fungal matter, no eyes, no mouth, just shapes. They move slowly, much slower than the Z virus infected. But Rebecca, they don't stop. I watched federal troops engage one of these things about 2 hours ago. They emptied multiple magazines into it. The bullets hit, I could see the impacts, but it just kept walking toward them, didn't slow down, didn't fall. Eventually they had to use incendiary rounds, fire. That's the only thing that worked. When it burned, it made this sound. Not like screaming, more like air escaping from a tire. And then it just crumbled, turned to ash. But by that time, 2 more had emerged from the mold-covered building behind it. The soldiers retreated. Smart move.
How are the military forces responding to this dual threat? The Z virus infected and now these molded creatures?
They're overwhelmed. The strategy that worked against the Z virus infected, concentrated firepower, headshots, that doesn't work on the molded. You need fire, chemical agents, extreme measures. And the problem is, the mold is spreading faster than they can contain it. Every building that gets contaminated becomes a potential spawning ground for more molded creatures. The military is trying to establish fire breaks, burn the mold before it spreads, but there's too much of it. The gymnasium at the high school was overrun last night. Sheriff Inwood, she got her daughter out, maybe 30 other people made it. But the rest, Rebecca, the infected broke through. We don't know how many casualties. The survivors are scattered now, small groups hiding in basements, attics, anywhere they can barricade. But the evacuation routes are completely blocked. Z-virus infected on the roads, molded creatures in the buildings. There's no way off the island anymore.
We're joined now by Dr. Nathan Roper via Secure Connection. Dr. Roper, you've been analyzing reports about these molded creatures. What can you tell us?
Rebecca, what we're seeing is exactly what I warned about. The mold isn't just an environmental contaminant. It's a biological weapons platform. The molded creatures are being generated by the mold colony itself. When the fungal growth reaches sufficient density, when the biomass accumulates to a critical threshold, the mold uses that material to construct these creatures. They're slower than Z virus infected, yes, but they're far more resilient. Standard ammunition doesn't work. Bladed weapons don't work. The mold can regenerate damage almost as fast as it's inflicted. The only effective countermeasures are fire and chemical dissolution, but both of those require resources the military doesn't have in sufficient quantities. You'd need flamethrower units, industrial incinerators, napalm strikes, And even then, the mold would just regrow from unburned spores.
Are you saying this outbreak can't be contained?
I'm saying conventional containment has already failed. The only way to stop the mold from spreading beyond Ironhold Island is complete biological sterilization, which means, Rebecca, what I've been dreading since this started. They're going to authorize a nuclear strike, just like Badger Creek. It's the only solution that guarantees elimination of both the Z virus and the mold.
When?
Days, maybe less. The mold is spreading exponentially. If it reaches the coastline, if spores get into the ocean currents, you could see contamination spreading to the mainland within weeks. The government won't risk that. They'll authorize the strike before the mold becomes uncontrollable.
Doctor, where did this mold come from?
That's unclear. What we know is that Ironhold Island is facing 3 separate biological threats. First, the standard Z virus from Badger Creek. Some of the original strain was being stored at the facility. Second, the Z-Freeman variant, which is the refined version with enhanced cognitive function in infected hosts. And third, this weaponized mold. The mold appears to have been a separate research program, possibly environmental bioweapon development, but how it escaped containment is unclear. It could have been released during the initial Cassandra cargo breach, or it could have been a separate containment failure when the facility went into chaos. Given everything that went wrong simultaneously, we may never know the exact sequence of events. What we do know is that once the mold got into the environment, it spread exponentially. And that combination, standard Z virus, Z-Freeman infected, and weaponized mold, that's what made this outbreak so much worse than anything we've seen before.
Thank you, Doctor. Leon, we're hearing reports of heavy military engagement across multiple locations. What are you seeing?
Rebecca, I'm watching a firefight right now about 200 yards from my position. Federal troops have encountered a mixed group of infected, and what's terrifying is you can see the difference between the two types. The standard Z virus infected, they're just walking forward slowly, mindless, arms outstretched, mouths open, making these low groaning sounds, classic reanimated behavior, no strategy, no coordination. They just walk toward the nearest target and attack. But the Z-Freeman infected, they're different. I'm watching 3 of them right now flanking the soldiers' position. They're moving deliberately, using cover. One of them just picked up a piece of debris, a chunk of concrete, and threw it at the soldiers to distract them. While the soldiers turned to react, the other 2 moved to better positions. It's not sophisticated tactics, it's basic, crude, but it's more than the standard infected can do. The soldiers are having to fight completely differently depending on which type they're facing. Standard infected, just mow them down, concentrated fire, headshots when possible. But the Z-Freeman variants, they're adapting. One of them figured out how to open a door, just reached for the handle, turned it, walked through. Soldiers had to reposition their defensive line because their barricades suddenly became useless.
How are the troops responding to this intelligence difference?
With a lot of ammunition. I've seen entire squads unload on single Z-Freeman infected because they keep doing unexpected things. One of them actually climbed up a fire escape to reach a higher vantage point. The soldiers weren't expecting that, thought infected couldn't problem solve like that. By the time they repositioned to engage, the thing had already reached the 2nd floor and broken through a window. And here's what's making this worse. Well, the molded creatures are appearing in the same areas, so the military is dealing with fast-walking infected, tactical Z-Freeman variants, and slow but nearly indestructible molded all at the same time. Different threat profiles, different weaknesses, different engagement strategies required, and they're intermixed. You can't just use one approach. I'm watching an engagement right now. Soldiers have established a firing line. Standard infected are walking straight into the gunfire, getting mowed down. But behind them, 3 Z-Freeman infected are using the standard infected as essentially as shields. They're staying low, moving when the soldiers are focused on the main group, positioning themselves for a coordinated rush. And it's working. The soldiers don't see them until it's almost too late. Now, the Z-Freeman infected are breaking from cover, all 3 at once from different angles. The soldiers are trying to reorient. Automatic fire, they got one, got another. 3rd one reached the line. Hand-to-hand combat, soldier went down. His squad mates are engaging, close range. They got it. But the soldier who got hit, he's wounded, bleeding. They're pulling him back, medics moving in, and now 2 molded just emerged from the building to the left. Slow, methodical, walking right through the gunfire like it doesn't affect them. Soldiers are switching to incendiary rounds. First molded is burning. That horrible sound like air escaping. It's crumbling, turning to ash. Second molded is still advancing. More incendiary fire. It's down. But Rebecca, the soldiers just burned through half their specialized ammunition on 2 targets, and there are dozens more infected in this area alone.
The military is withdrawing from forward positions.
Yeah, I'm seeing tactical retreats across the board. They're falling back to the coastline, establishing a final defensive perimeter. The dual threat, Z-virus and mold, it's too much. They can't hold the town. They can't secure what's left of the facility. They're just trying to maintain a corridor to the evacuation points now, and even that's becoming difficult. The mold is spreading into their defensive positions, black fungal growth covering the ground. Soldiers are having to constantly move to avoid contaminated areas, and every time they move, the infected, both types, they adjust. The standard infected just follow blindly, but the Z-Freeman infected, they're learning the patrol patterns. They're attacking when defenses are weakest, when soldiers are relocating. When attention is divided.
What's the casualty count among military personnel?
Official numbers aren't being released, but I've seen enough to know it's significant. Multiple soldiers wounded, some killed, and worse, some infected. When a soldier gets bitten, their squad has to make an immediate decision. Quarantine them and hope for extraction, or, and I hate saying this, prevent the infection from spreading by any means necessary. I've seen both choices made today. Neither is good.
Could the facility explosion have been an attempt to destroy the research, prevent it from falling into the wrong hands?
Maybe. If someone was still inside that facility, someone who knew what was being researched there, maybe they decided destroying it was better than letting it survive. But Rebecca, whoever did this, if it was deliberate, they would have needed access codes, security clearance, knowledge of the facility layout. This wasn't some random survivor. This was someone who belonged there, or someone who had very specific training.
We're receiving word that federal authorities have ordered all remaining military personnel on Ironhold Island to withdraw to the coastline. Evacuation is proceeding for soldiers and essential personnel only. No civilian evacuations are currently authorized, which means anyone still alive on that island who isn't military, they're being left behind, abandoned, condemned to whatever comes next. The military has held the line for as long as they could. But the combination of Z-virus infected, Z-Freeman variants, and molded creatures, along with the exponentially spreading mold contamination, has made conventional containment impossible. The facility that created this nightmare has been destroyed, but the outbreak continues to spread. The island is lost. The outbreak cannot be stopped by conventional means, and we all know what that means. President Marlene Jackson is expected to address the nation within the next 48 hours. We anticipate that address will announce the next phase of the government's response to this crisis. Based on precedent from Badger Creek, based on the tactical realities we're witnessing right now, we know what's coming. The question is not if, but when. I'm Rebecca Valentine. We'll continue monitoring Ironhold Island throughout the night. For the survivors still trapped on that island, we see you, we hear you, we will not forget you. Stay with us.
Sam, if you're out there, if you're listening to this frequency, it's me, it's Jill. I'm alive. I know you've been looking for me. I know you thought I was dead, but I'm here. I'm still here. They held me in the Ironhold facility, deep underground, level 5. That's the detention wing, the one that wasn't on any official blueprints. I don't know how long I was down there, weeks, maybe months. They kept us isolated, no contact with the surface, no idea what was happening up there, until the outbreak started. Someone, I never saw who, they opened the detention cells. When the facility started falling apart, when the infected breached the upper levels, someone made a choice. Let us out or leave us to die down there. They chose mercy. I hope they made it out. I really do. I found the facility's emergency destruct system. Level 4, Security Station 12. It was designed to sterilize the research levels if containment failed. I initiated the sequence. Thought maybe I could destroy the specimens, the research, everything they'd created down there. Stop it from spreading further. I had help. Carlos Burnside. He was security, former military, found me trying to navigate the lower levels. He knew the facility layout, knew how to bypass the locks, how to avoid the infected. He got me to the destruct controls, gave me the access codes. He didn't make it out. We were extracting through the maintenance tunnels when we got cornered by infected. 3 of them. Carlos engaged them while I ran ahead. I heard the gunfire, heard him shouting for me to keep going. Then I heard him scream. When I looked back, one of them had him. He'd been bitten, arm, shoulder, deep wounds. He knew what it meant. Z-Freeman infection, 6 to 12 hours before full conversion, maybe less. He told me to run, told me to trigger the destruct sequence and get off the island. I tried to go back for him, but he pointed his gun at me, not to shoot, to make me leave. He said, "I'm not letting you die here. Get out. Finish this." I made it to the surface. Ironhold Island is God. It's hell. Burning buildings, bodies in the street, infected everywhere. I found a boat, small fishing vessel at the North Dock. Got off the island 2 hours before the military locked down the naval perimeter. I'm on the mainland now, somewhere in northern Maine. I'm not saying where, not on an open channel. Sam, I need to tell you something. Something I've been trying not to think about. The explosion, the destruct sequence I triggered, I think it made things worse. So much worse. When I got to the surface, when I saw what was happening to the island, the mold growth, the black fungal contamination spreading everywhere, I realized something. The explosion scattered debris across half the island. Contaminated material, research samples, spores, everything that was contained in the lower levels, I released it into the environment. I thought I was stopping the outbreak. I thought destroying the facility would prevent the specimens from spreading. But all I did was, I made it airborne. I made it mobile. The mold that's consuming Ironhold Island right now, the molded creatures that are killing people, that might be on me. I was trying to do the right thing. I was trying to destroy their research. And instead, I might have created the worst biological disaster since Badger Creek. Carlos told me to finish this. He died so I could get out and finish this. And I don't know if I finished it or if I just made it so much worse. I have to destroy it properly this time. Not with explosions, not with fire that just spreads contamination, but completely, permanently, so that no one else has to die because I made the wrong choice. I ran. I triggered the charges. I got to the surface. And Carlos, he stayed down there. I don't know if the explosion killed him or if he turned. I don't know which one I hope for. Because with Z-Freeman, some part of him might still be aware, trapped, knowing what he's become. Sam, I found something in the facility. Before I triggered the destruct sequence, there were files, classified documents. They reference another location, an Aperture facility in the Arctic. Designation, quote, Site Alpha, end quote. Coordinates put it somewhere in northern Canada or Alaska. Remote, isolated, operational since before the first outbreak. The documents suggest, and I'm not sure I believe this, that Site Alpha is the original research location, where they first developed the Z virus, where they created the bioengineered organisms. Everything else, all the other facilities, they're just testing sites, field operations. But Site Alpha, that's the source. That's where the real work is happening. I'm going there. I'm going to find it. I'm going to expose what they're doing. Get proof, hard evidence, the kind they can't classify or bury or explain away. And then I'm going to burn it all down, the way I should have done in Paris, the way I should have done at Ironhold. Sam, I know you're going to try to stop me. You're going to say it's too dangerous, that I should come in, testify, let the authorities handle it. But we both know how that ends. Congressional hearings that go nowhere, investigations that find nothing. People in power protecting people in power. No, this has to end, and I'm going to end it. If you're hearing this, don't try to find me. Don't follow me. I'm already being hunted. Black Mesa contractors, maybe government, maybe both. I've seen the same vehicle tailing me for 2 days. I'm trying to lose them, but they're good, professional. Just know I'm okay. Tell Mom and Dad, if you can, that I'm sorry. Tell them I'm doing what I have to do. And Sam, thank you for not giving up on me. I'll contact you again when I can, when it's safe. But for now, I need you to trust me. Trust that I know what I'm doing. Trust that this is the only way. The Arctic facility, Site Alpha. That's where the answers are. And I'm gonna find them. This is Jill Spade, signing off. I'll see you on the other side.
Brothers and sisters, We gather tonight in God's house as the world outside falls to darkness. The infected surround us. The mold creeps closer with each passing hour. And I ask you, where is our faith? Where is our hope? In the book of Job, a righteous man loses everything, his family, his wealth, his health, and his friends tell him, curse God and die. But Job refuses. He says, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. We are being tested tonight, tested in ways that Job himself could barely imagine. We watch our neighbors become monsters. We watch our children sicken and transform. We watch the very ground beneath our feet turn black with corruption. And we ask, why? Why would God allow this? Why would a loving creator permit such suffering? The book of Revelation speaks of the end times. Plague and pestilence, beasts rising from the earth, the dead walking among the living, and the righteous crying out, how long, O Lord, how long until you deliver us? Perhaps, brothers and sisters, perhaps this is God's answer to our complicity, to our silence, to our willingness to accept evil so long as it wore a suit and promised us jobs. We knew. 6 months ago, Badger Creek burned. 30,000 people died. And we said, how terrible, how tragic. And then we went back to our lives. We allowed the same corporations to operate, the same government officials to remain in power, the same research programs to continue. We allowed it. And now we pay the price for our silence. In Ezekiel 33, God speaks of the watchman on the wall. The watchman sees danger coming and sounds the trumpet to warn the people. If the people hear the warning and do nothing, their blood is on their own heads. But if the watchman sees danger and does not sound the trumpet, God will hold the watchman accountable for the people's deaths. We were the watchmen. We saw Badger Creek. We saw the evidence. We saw the conspiracy. And most of us stayed silent. Do not fear death. Fear only the silence that allows evil to flourish. Fear only the cowardice that values comfort over truth. In 1 Corinthians 15, Paul asks, O death, where is your sting? O grave, where is your victory? Death is not the end for those who hold faith. The body may perish, but the soul, the eternal spark of God within us, that cannot be destroyed by any virus or mold or bioweapon, they're breaking through. Brothers and sisters, stand firm. If this is our hour, then let us meet it with courage. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Lord Jesus Christ, receive our spirits. Forgive us our sins. Forgive this broken world, and deliver us from this evil that has been unleashed upon us by those who should have protected us. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. Lord,
This is Rebecca Valentine. We are interrupting all regular programming to bring you a live address from the President of the United States. It is now day 25 of the Ironhold Island crisis. Federal authorities have been evacuating military personnel for the past 48 hours. No civilian evacuations have been authorized. The mold contamination has spread to cover approximately 70% of the island's landmass. Survivors, if there are any remaining, are estimated to number fewer than 300. We expect the president to announce some form of military action to contain the biological threat. The question, and it's the question everyone has been asking since Badger Creek, is how far will the government go to prevent this outbreak from reaching the mainland? Approximately 10,000 people lived on Ironhold Island when this crisis began. 847 have been evacuated. Most of those evacuations occurred in the first 72 hours before the full quarantine was implemented, which means roughly 9,000 people are either dead, infected, or trapped. And in the next few minutes, we're going to hear what their government has decided to do about it. Stand by for the President of the United States.
My fellow Americans, good evening. I'm speaking to you tonight from the Oval Office about the crisis on Ironhold Island and the difficult decisions we face in the hours ahead. You know, when I took this oath, when I swore to protect and defend the Constitution and the American people, I understood that some decisions would be impossible, that there would be moments when every option leads to tragedy. Tonight is one of those moments, and I want to be completely transparent with you about where we are, what we're facing, and what I've decided to do. The biological outbreak on Ironhold Island has exceeded every containment projection. The pathogen, and I'm going to be direct with you, is a weaponized virus that was being researched under Department of Defense authorization. This research was classified. It was conducted at a private facility, and it was intended to develop defensive countermeasures against biological threats. But intention and outcome, as we've learned, can be very different things. Let me be clear about what happened here. We failed. The oversight was insufficient, the safety protocols were inadequate, the risk assessment was flawed, and now thousands of Americans are paying the price for our failures. That's on us, that's on me, and I will not stand here and make excuses. The Centers for Disease Control estimates that if this outbreak reaches the mainland, we're looking at a continental pandemic within 60 days. The mold contamination spreads through airborne spores, the Z virus transmits through direct contact, and the combination of both, what we're seeing on Ironhold Island right now, represents an extinction-level threat if it escapes containment. Not just to the United States, to the world. Military and scientific advisors have presented me with options. I've spent the past 72 hours reviewing every scenario, every possibility, every alternative. So here's what I've decided. Effective immediately, the United States military will destroy the Ironhold Bridge. This is the only road connection between Ironhold Island and the mainland. Once that bridge is gone, the island becomes completely isolated. No infected can cross, no contamination can spread by land. A naval perimeter will be established around the island. Any vessel attempting to leave will be turned back. Any infected that somehow reached the water will be neutralized. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about the people still on the island? And that's the question that has kept me awake for the past 3 nights. We estimate that fewer than 300 civilians remain alive on Ironhold Island. Most are trapped, some are hiding. All of them are surrounded by infected and mold contamination that makes rescue operations nearly impossible. I want to be honest with you. By destroying that bridge, I'm cutting off their last chance of escape by land. But the bridge has already been unusable for the past week. Infected control both ends. The military can't secure it. So we're not taking away an option that existed. We're eliminating a route the outbreak could use to reach the mainland. The naval blockade will remain in place while we evaluate our next steps. Some of my advisors are pushing for immediate nuclear sterilization, the Badger Creek option. Wipe the island clean and eliminate the threat permanently. Others believe we should maintain containment and continue searching for a biological solution, an antiviral, a treatment, something that could save the people still alive. I haven't made that decision yet. And I want to tell you why. Because once I authorize a nuclear strike, there's no taking it back. Every person on that island dies, every building is destroyed, every possibility of rescue ends. And yes, the threat is neutralized, but so is hope. And I'm not ready to kill hope, not yet. You know, I think about disaster movies sometimes. Independence Day, World War Z. The president always makes the tough call at the dramatic moment. But reality isn't like that. Reality is messy, it's uncertain. It's sitting in the situation room at 3 in the morning, looking at casualty projections and evacuation timelines, and realizing that every choice you make will haunt you for the rest of your life. So here's what I'm asking. I'm asking for time. Time to see if the containment holds. Time to see if our scientists can develop a treatment. Time to see if there's any way, any possibility that we can save even one more person. The bridge comes down tonight, the blockade holds, the outbreak stays contained. And we keep working, we keep searching, we keep hoping to the families who have loved ones on Ironhold Island. I haven't given up on them, we haven't abandoned them. As long as there's a chance, any chance, we're gonna keep trying. I can't promise you they'll be rescued. I can't promise you a happy ending. But I can promise you this, we will not forget them. We will not stop fighting for them. And we will not authorize a nuclear strike unless there is absolutely no other option to the American people. The outbreak is contained. Your families are safe. Your communities are protected. The bridge destruction and naval blockade will prevent any spread to the mainland. But I also want to be honest about what comes next. There will be investigations. There will be accountability. There will be prosecutions. Every official who authorized this research will answer for it. Every contractor who cut corners will face consequences. This program ends now. No more secret facilities. No more bioweapon research on American soil. We draw the line here. 6 months ago, Badger Creek taught us what happens when we create weapons we can't control. And we promised ourselves never again, but here we are. And I have to ask myself, and I'm asking all of you, how many times does never again have to happen before we actually mean it? This time, we're going to mean it. This time, the accountability will be real, the reforms will be permanent, and the people responsible for this nightmare will face justice. I give you my word. The bridge comes down at 0300 hours. The blockade is already in position. The containment will hold. And we will keep searching for a way to save the people still trapped on that island. God bless them. God bless the survivors who made it out. God bless the first responders who risked everything. And God bless the United States of America. May we learn from this. May we do better. May we finally keep our promises. Good night.
That was President Marlene Jackson speaking from the Oval Office. The Ironhold Bridge will be destroyed at 0300 hours. That's approximately 4 hours from now. In 4 hours, the last land connection between Ironhold Island and the mainland will be gone. The island will be completely isolated, surrounded by naval vessels, no one in, no one out. And the people still alive there, the ones who couldn't get out, who are trapped in buildings or hiding from the infected, they'll be cut off indefinitely. The president didn't authorize a nuclear strike, not yet. She's buying time for scientists to develop a treatment, time for rescue operations to find a way. But let's be honest about what that means. The mold contamination makes helicopter extraction nearly impossible. The infected make ground operations suicidal. And the naval blockade means no boats can reach the shore. So what exactly are we buying time for? Leon Chambers is at a military observation post overlooking the bridge. Leon, what are you seeing?
Rebecca, I'm about 2 miles from the Ironhold Bridge. I can see it clearly. Long span, concrete and steel connects the island to the mainland. Military engineers have been placing demolition charges for the past 6 hours. I'm watching them work right now. Precision placement, every support column, every structural weak point. They're not taking any chances. When this bridge goes down, it's not coming back. They're infected on the bridge. I can see them from here, maybe 30 or 40, just wandering. Some of them are moving toward the mainland side, slow, shambling. The military has snipers positioned. They're picking off any infected that get too close to the demolition teams, but there are so many, and they keep coming. Behind me, naval vessels, destroyers, frigates, Coast Guard cutters. They're establishing a complete perimeter around the island. Any vessel that tries to leave, any infected that somehow reaches the water, they'll be stopped. The military is calling this Operation Iron Curtain, total isolation, total containment.
What's the mood among the military personnel?
Grim. These soldiers know what they're doing. They're sealing off an island with living people still on it. I talked to one of the engineers. Guy wouldn't give me his name, but he said this is the worst assignment of his career. He's demolishing a bridge that could be used for rescue, cutting off the only escape route. And he understands why. He knows the outbreak has to be contained, but that doesn't make it easier.
Thank you, Leon. We're also joined by Dr. Constance Peterson, who evacuated from Ironhold General Hospital last week. Dr. Peterson, the president mentioned the possibility of developing a treatment. Is that realistic?
No. I wish I could say otherwise, but no. We don't have a treatment for Z virus. We don't have a treatment for the mold. And we certainly don't have a treatment for the combination of both. The people still on that island, if they're not already infected, they're breathing mold spores with every breath. They're surrounded by contaminated environments. Even if we could extract them right now, they'd likely be infected within days.
So the president is buying time for a solution that doesn't exist?
The president is delaying a decision that she knows she'll eventually have to make. I don't envy her. I really don't. But the science is clear. The mold spreads, the infected multiply. Every day we wait is another day the contamination expands. Another day the threat grows. At some point, and I hate saying this, containment won't be enough. Sterilization will be the only option. I've read the Badger Creek reports. 30,000 people died there. The government authorized a nuclear strike because conventional containment failed. And Badger Creek was just Z virus. No mold, no environmental contamination. Ironhold Island is worse, much worse. So yes, the president is buying time, but I think we all know how this ends. Ironhold Island is worse, much worse. So yes, the president is buying time.
We're getting reports that some civilians are still attempting to leave the island. Sheriff Charlotte Inwood, who evacuated with her daughter 2 days ago, is receiving radio transmissions from people still trapped. Sheriff, what are you hearing?
I've been in contact with maybe a dozen people. Some are holed up in buildings, others are hiding in the woods. They're asking when the next evacuation is coming, when the helicopters are coming back, and I don't know what to tell them. The military says no more extractions, too dangerous. But these people, they're alive, they're uninfected, they deserve a chance. One man I talked to, he's barricaded in a hardware store on Main Street. Says he has food for maybe another week, water for 3 days. He can hear infected outside, pounding on the doors, trying to get in. He asked me if anyone's coming for him, and I couldn't answer. I didn't know what to say.
Is there any possibility of civilian rescue operations? Private boats, volunteer evacuation?
The Navy will turn them back. I've already heard from people asking if they can send boats to extract family members. The answer is no. The blockade is absolute. If you approach the island, you will be warned once. If you continue, they will use force to stop you. The contamination risk is too high. The government can't allow anyone to break quarantine.
So the people on the island are, for all practical purposes, abandoned?
Yes, that's exactly what they are, abandoned. And it's unforgivable. But I also understand why. If even one infected person reaches the mainland, if one boat full of mold spores makes it to shore, this whole crisis starts over in a new location. So they're sacrificing the few to protect the many. That's the choice. That's always the choice.
We're now less than 2 hours from the bridge destruction. Federal authorities have cleared all civilian personnel from the area. The demolition teams are in their final stages of preparation. And somewhere on Ironhold Island, fewer than 300 people are waiting for rescue that isn't coming, waiting for hope that doesn't exist, waiting for their government to decide whether containment is enough or whether Badger Creek's solution will be repeated. This station will continue broadcasting throughout the night. We'll provide updates as they become available. To anyone on Ironhold Island who might somehow still be receiving this broadcast, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we couldn't save you. I'm sorry the evacuation failed. I'm sorry your government has decided that isolating you is necessary. You deserved better. You all deserved better. This is Rebecca Valentine. We'll be back with continuing coverage of the Ironhold Island crisis.
This is the emergency alert system. This message is transmitted at the request of the United States Department of Defense, in coordination with the Federal Emergency Management Agency. This is not a test. A federal quarantine action has been authorized for Ironhold Island, Maine, and surrounding coastal waters. At 0300 hours Eastern Standard Time, the Ironhold Bridge connecting the island to the mainland was destroyed by controlled demolition. The purpose of this action is complete isolation in response to an ongoing biohazard emergency. Ironhold Island is now under total quarantine. No persons are authorized to enter or leave the island by any means. A naval blockade has been established around the entire coastline. Any vessel attempting to approach or depart from the island will be intercepted and turned back by United States Coast Guard and Navy personnel. All civilians are ordered to remain outside a 10-mile radius from Ironhold Island. This includes all maritime traffic, aircraft, and coastal communities within the designated restricted zone. The following areas are subject to enhanced security measures and access restrictions: Bar Harbor, Winter Harbor, Prospect Harbor, Millbridge, and all coastal communities within 10 miles of Ironhold Island. Do not attempt to approach Ironhold Island by boat, aircraft, or any other means. The quarantine is absolute. Military personnel have been authorized to use all necessary force to maintain the perimeter. Any vessel that enters the restricted zone will be warned once and then forcibly turned back. Any aircraft that violates restricted airspace will be intercepted. The biological contamination on Ironhold Island poses an extreme public health risk. The outbreak includes multiple infectious agents that can spread through direct contact, airborne transmission, and environmental contamination. Exposure to these agents results in severe illness, neurological damage, and death. There is no known cure or treatment. All maritime vessels operating within 20 nautical miles of Ironhold Island are ordered to immediately alter course and vacate the area. The United States Coast Guard and Navy are maintaining a continuous patrol of the exclusion zone. Radar and aerial surveillance are in effect 24 hours per day. Any unauthorized vessel detected approaching the island will be intercepted. All aircraft are prohibited from entering restricted airspace over and around Ironhold Island. This includes private aircraft, commercial aviation, and unmanned aerial vehicles. The restricted airspace extends to a radius of 25 miles and a ceiling of 20,000 feet. Federal Aviation Administration flight restrictions are in effect until further notice. Violators will be intercepted by military aircraft and escorted from the area. Do not attempt to rescue or recover individuals believed to be on Ironhold Island. All evacuation operations have ceased. The quarantine is in effect indefinitely. Military personnel are not authorized to conduct rescue missions. Civilian rescue attempts are strictly prohibited and will be prevented by force if necessary. Residents of coastal communities near the exclusion zone should monitor emergency broadcasts for updates on the quarantine status. If you observe any unusual activity near the coastline, including debris, abandoned vessels, or individuals attempting to leave the island, immediately contact local authorities. Do not approach or make contact with any persons or materials that may have originated from Ironhold Island. In the event of a quarantine breach, the following instructions must be followed. Seek immediate shelter indoors. Close all windows and doors. Seal vents and other openings with tape or cloth. Turn off ventilation systems that bring in outside air. Do not go outside for any reason. Contact emergency services immediately. Remain indoors until federal authorities issue an all-clear notice. Repeat. Ironhold Island is under federal quarantine. The Ironhold Bridge has been destroyed. A naval blockade is in effect. Do not attempt to approach the island by any means. All persons must remain outside the 10-mile exclusion zone. All maritime traffic must vacate the 20 nautical mile restricted area. All aircraft are prohibited from entering restricted airspace. Federal authorities are evaluating long-term containment options for the biological threat on Ironhold Island. Updates will be provided as information becomes available. Residents of affected coastal communities should remain vigilant and follow all instructions from local and federal emergency management officials. Information on the quarantine, restricted zones, and emergency services can be obtained by calling the FEMA Disaster Hotline at 1-800-621-FEMA or visiting fema.gov/Ironhold. This has been a message from the Emergency Alert System, transmitted at the request of the United States Department of Defense and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. This is not a test. Comply with all quarantine orders immediately. Stand by for further instructions.
This is Rebecca Valentine with breaking news from Ironhold Island. The Ironhold Bridge was destroyed at 0300 hours this morning. Military engineers detonated precisely placed charges along every support structure. The bridge collapsed into the channel in approximately 45 seconds. Ironhold Island is now completely isolated from the mainland. Leon Chambers witnessed the demolition. Leon, describe what you saw.
Rebecca, I've never seen anything like it. The charges went off in sequence. Not one big explosion, a series of smaller detonations, each one calculated to bring down a specific section. The sound was incredible, like thunder rolling across the water, and then the bridge just folded, collapsed straight down into the channel. Concrete and steel hitting the water, massive splash, waves reaching the shore on both sides. There were infected on the bridge when it went down, maybe 20 of them. They went into the water with the debris. I don't know if any survived. The Navy has patrol boats searching the area. Just in case, they're under orders to neutralize any infected that surface. The naval blockade is fully operational now. I can see destroyers maintaining position about 2 miles offshore, helicopters doing aerial surveillance. Nothing is getting off that island, nothing is getting on. Ironhold Island is a prison, and the people still there are serving a sentence they didn't earn.
What's the military saying about next steps?
They're not saying much. Official line is that containment operations are ongoing, that scientists are working on treatment options. But off the record, the soldiers I've talked to, they don't believe rescue is possible. The mold contamination is too extensive, the infected are too numerous. They think this is temporary, that eventually the order will come to sterilize the island, just like Badger Creek.
We've been receiving scattered radio transmissions from people still on the island. Most are desperate, many are giving up hope. But one transmission in particular, one report that just came in, suggests that not everyone on Ironhold Island is trying to escape. Leon, have you heard anything about Sam Spade?
Yeah, I have. Sam Spade, former police officer from Badger Creek, one of the survivors who made it out of the Doyle Mansion facility, he's on the island. And according to military intelligence, he's not trying to leave. He's searching for someone.
His sister?
That's what we're hearing. Spade apparently received information that his sister, Jill Spade, was working on Ironhold Island, maybe at the facility, maybe somewhere else. We don't have confirmation. But Spade came to the island 3 days before the quarantine was fully implemented. Heavily armed, ignored all evacuation orders, told military personnel he wasn't leaving without his sister. And Rebecca, here's the thing. Spade knows what he's dealing with. He survived Badger Creek. He saw the Z virus firsthand. He knows how the infected operate. If anyone could survive on that island, navigate the contamination, avoid the infected, it's him. But the question is, why? Why risk everything for one person? Why stay when everyone else is trying to leave?
Because she's family. And when the government tells you to abandon family, some people refuse. Even when refusal means almost certain death. Sheriff Charlotte Inwood, you knew Sam Spade from your work coordinating with Badger Creek survivors. What can you tell us about him?
Sam Spade he's tough. I mean that in every sense. He survived an outbreak that killed 30,000 people. He went into a bioweapon research facility and came out alive. He's trained, he's armed, he knows how to handle himself in crisis situations. But Rebecca, surviving Badger Creek doesn't mean he can survive Ironhold Island. This is worse, the mold. The sheer number of infected, the environmental contamination. I don't care how tough you are. This island will kill you. But I also understand why he's doing it. If someone told me my daughter was trapped on that island, and I had a choice between leaving her to die or going in after her, I'd go in. No question, no hesitation. Even if I knew I wouldn't make it out. That's what family means. That's what love means. You don't abandon people, even when it's rational. Even when it's the smart choice. You don't leave them behind.
Do we have any confirmation that Jill Spade is actually on the island?
No. That's the worst part. We don't know if she's there. We don't know if she's alive. Sam could be risking his life for someone who's already dead. Or someone who was never on the island in the first place. But he doesn't care. He's going to find out, one way or another.
The bridge is down, the island is isolated, the containment is holding. Federal authorities estimate there are approximately 250 civilians still alive on Ironhold Island. Most are trapped in buildings, some are hiding in the woods. A few, like Sam Spade, are moving through the contaminated zones for reasons we can only guess at. And all of them, every single one, is waiting for a rescue that may never come. We'll continue monitoring this situation. We'll bring you updates as they become available. This is Rebecca Valentine. Stay with us. This is day 30 of the Ironhold Island crisis. The naval blockade remains in effect, the mold contamination continues to spread, and the federal government has still not authorized a final solution. The island remains isolated, the infected remain contained, and the people still alive there remain abandoned. Dr. Nathan Roper has been analyzing the situation from his research facility. Dr. Roper, you were one of the lead scientific advisors during the Badger Creek crisis. What's your assessment of Ironhold Island?
My assessment is that we're delaying the inevitable. The mold contamination is not slowing down, it's accelerating. Satellite imagery shows that approximately 85% of the island's landmass is now covered in black mold. The remaining 15% will be contaminated within 2 weeks. At that point, the entire island becomes a mold colony, a biological hazard that will persist indefinitely. The Z virus infected are not dying off. They're not running out of hosts. They're sustained by the mold. We're seeing evidence that the mold is, for lack of a better term, feeding the infected, providing nutrients, sustaining them even when they should be decaying, which means the infected population on that island could remain active for months, years, indefinitely.
So containment isn't a long-term solution?
Containment is a temporary measure. It buys us time. It prevents immediate spread, but it doesn't eliminate the threat. The mold will continue to grow, the infected will continue to exist, and eventually something will fail. A hurricane will scatter contaminated debris. A boat will breach the blockade, an infected will reach the water and drift to shore, or the mold will release spores that travel on air currents beyond the containment zone. You can't contain a biological threat indefinitely, not with conventional means. At some point, you have to eliminate it, and there's only one method that guarantees complete elimination, the same method we used at Badger Creek, complete biological sterilization, a nuclear strike.
The president has been reluctant to authorize that.
The president is hoping for a miracle, and I understand that. I do. But science doesn't provide miracles. We don't have a cure. We don't have a treatment. We don't have a way to neutralize the mold without destroying everything around it. So the question becomes, how long do we wait? How long do we maintain this blockade before we accept that the people on that island are already lost?
What would you recommend?
I would recommend immediate sterilization, not because I want those people to die, but because waiting increases the risk. Every day we delay is another day the contamination spreads, another day the infected multiply, another day closer to the moment when containment fails and this entire crisis moves to the mainland. We learned this at Badger Creek. We should have learned it. Apparently we didn't.
Thank you, Dr. Roper. We're receiving reports that some private boats attempted to approach the island overnight. Family members trying to extract loved ones. Leon Chambers has details. Leon?
Yeah. Rebecca, 3 boats tried to breach the blockade last night. All 3 were intercepted by the Navy. One boat, a 30-foot fishing vessel, got within half a mile of the island before destroyers surrounded it and forced it to turn back. The owner, a man named Thomas Blaney, was trying to reach his brother who's trapped in a building downtown. He was warned he was threatened with lethal force. He turned back. The Navy is not playing around. The blockade is absolute. Anyone who approaches the island will be stopped. And if they refuse to comply, they will be fired upon. The contamination risk is too high. The government can't allow any possibility of the outbreak reaching the mainland.
So the people on the island truly have no way out?
None. Unless the government authorizes another extraction operation. And based on what I'm hearing, that's not going to happen. The military considers the island too dangerous. The mold contamination makes helicopter landings nearly impossible. The infected make ground operations suicidal. So the official position is containment and evaluation, which means, in practical terms, abandonment.
There's been no further word on Sam Spade's status. Military surveillance suggests he's still moving through the contaminated zones. Still searching, but we don't know if he's found his sister. We don't know if he's even still alive. All we know is that someone on that island refused to give up, refused to evacuate, refused to accept that hope was lost. And whether that's courage or madness, I honestly don't know anymore. The containment holds, the blockade remains, the mold spreads, And approximately 250 American citizens remain trapped on an island that their government has decided is too dangerous to rescue them from, but not dangerous enough, apparently, to destroy. How long can this last? How long before the president makes the decision that we all know is coming? I don't have those answers. I don't think anyone does. This is Rebecca Valentine. We'll continue monitoring the Ironhold Island situation. We'll bring you updates as they become available. But for now, all we can do is wait and watch, and hope that somehow, some way, this ends better than Badger Creek did. Stay with us.
If you're listening to this, you're one of the few people left who still cares about the truth. Most people have moved on from Ironhold Island. It's old news. 39,000 dead between Badger Creek and Ironhold. Old news, forgotten, filed away. But I haven't forgotten, and neither should you. I'm recording this from, well, I'm not going to tell you where I'm recording this from. Let's just say I've learned to be careful. People who investigate bioweapon programs have a tendency to disappear. Dr. Nathan Roper vanished after Ironhold Island. No body, no trail, no explanation. Official story, he went into hiding. Unofficial story, he knew too much and someone silenced him. I'm not planning to disappear, but I'm also not taking chances. So this might be my last episode for a while, maybe my last episode ever. I've uploaded everything I've found to multiple encrypted servers. If something happens to me, the information gets released automatically. Dead man switch. Welcome to the world we live in now. Let's talk about what I've found. 3 new pharmaceutical research facilities have opened in the past 18 months. Monarch Industries in Raccoon Creek, West Virginia, population 11,000. Tricell Pharmaceuticals in Silent Valley, Nevada, population 8,000. Wesker Biotech in Ashwood, Utah, population 13,000. Notice a pattern? Small towns, isolated, economically depressed, desperate for jobs and investment. Sound familiar? All 3 facilities receive federal funding through defense contracts. All 3 have military liaisons embedded in their operations. All 3 are conducting classified research under government authorization. And all 3 are connected to the same network of contractors and officials who funded Aperture Pharmaceuticals and Black Mesa. I've obtained internal documents from all 3 facilities. And what I've found, what I've pieced together, is terrifying. They're not just continuing the research, they're expanding it, diversifying it. Each facility is testing a different bioweapon variant. Monarch Industries in West Virginia, they're working on something called Echo Protocol, airborne transmission, no bites, no direct contact required. You breathe the air, you're infected. Incubation period of 48 to 72 hours. Infection rate approaching 100% in closed populations. The documents I've seen suggest they're planning a field test within the next 6 to 12 months. Field test, that's what they call it. Not an outbreak, not a massacre, a field test. Tricell Pharmaceuticals in Nevada, enhanced creature variants. They're building on the work from Ironhold Island. Faster version of those reptilian creatures, more resilient, molded, something they're calling Reapers. Now imagine a dozen of them loose in a populated area. That's what Tricell is creating. Wesker Biotech in Utah. Environmental persistence agents. Bioweapons that can survive in any climate, any terrain, any condition. Desert, Arctic, tropical, urban. They want something that can be deployed anywhere and continue to function indefinitely. Self-replicating, self-sustaining, the perfect weapon for global deployment. Now, you might be asking, why? Why are they doing this? What's the end game? And the answer is simple: control. These bioweapons aren't just meant to kill. They're meant to terrify, to destabilize, to create scenarios where populations demand government intervention, accept military occupation, surrender civil liberties in exchange for protection. Think about it. After Badger Creek, what happened? Increased military funding, expanded surveillance powers, new emergency authorization acts. After Ironhold Island, same thing. Every outbreak gives the government more power, more authority, more control. And the public accepts it because they're terrified. This is the cycle. Create the threat, deploy the threat, offer protection from the threat, gain power, repeat. Badger Creek was the proof of concept. Ironhold Island was the refinement. The next 3 outbreaks will be the expansion. I've been tracking the warning signs. Unusual animal deaths near the facilities. unexplained illnesses in nearby communities, increased security measures, personnel transfers, supply shipments that don't match public records. All the same patterns we saw before Badger Creek, all the same patterns we saw before Ironhold Island. Raccoon Creek, West Virginia. 17 dead raccoons found near the Monarch Industries facility in the past month. Official explanation, rabies outbreak, but the symptoms don't match rabies, and the animals were found in a perfect circle around the facility perimeter. Someone's testing something, and it's getting out. Silent Valley, Nevada. 3 hikers disappeared 2 weeks ago near Tricell Pharmaceuticals. Search and rescue found their campsite. Torn apart, blood everywhere, no bodies. Official explanation, mountain lion attack. But mountain lions don't coordinate. They don't hunt in packs. And they don't leave claw marks that match the bioengineered creatures we've seen before. Ashwood, Utah. Hospital reports of unusual respiratory infections. 47 cases in the past 6 weeks. All presenting with the same symptoms: fever, disorientation, aggressive behavior. Official explanation, seasonal flu variant. But the infection pattern matches airborne pathogen spread, and it's centered on neighborhoods downwind from the Wesker Biotech facility. So what do we do? How do we stop this? And the honest answer is, I don't know. I've tried everything. Public exposure, congressional testimony, media appearances, lawsuits, freedom of information requests, and nothing works. The system is designed to protect itself. The people responsible for these programs are insulated by layers of bureaucracy, classified information, national security exemptions. You can't prosecute what you can't prove, and you can't prove what's locked behind classification. But here's what you can do. If you live near one of these facilities, leave. I know that's not easy. I know people have jobs, families, roots, but your life is worth more than a job. Your children's lives are worth more than staying in a town that's been turned into a testing ground. If you can't leave, prepare. Have an evacuation plan. Keep emergency supplies ready. Don't trust official assurances that everything is safe. When the outbreak starts, and it will start, you'll have maybe 24 to 48 hours to get out before the quarantine locks down. Don't waste that time waiting for official evacuation orders. Get out early, get out fast, get out alive. I predicted Badger Creek. I was called a conspiracy theorist. I predicted Ironhold Island. I was called paranoid. Now I'm predicting the next outbreaks. Raccoon Creek, West Virginia, Silent Valley, Nevada, Ashwood, Utah. One of them, probably all of them, will have an outbreak within the next 12 to 18 months. And when it happens, when the news breaks that another small town has been devastated by a bioweapon outbreak, I want you to remember this broadcast. I want you to remember that this was preventable, that people warned you, that the information was available. And I want you to ask yourself, why didn't we do anything? Because that's the real question, isn't it? Why don't we do anything? Why do we let this keep happening? Why do we accept that bioweapon programs are operating on American soil, killing American citizens, and no one is held accountable? The cycle continues because we let it. Because most people don't want to believe their government would do this. Because it's easier to think it's an accident, a tragic mistake, a failure of oversight. But it's not. It's deliberate, it's intentional, it's policy. And until we break the cycle, until we demand real accountability, until we shut down these programs permanently and prosecute everyone involved, it's going to keep happening. The names will change, the locations will change, the bioweapons will evolve, but the pattern remains the same. Create the threat, deploy the threat, offer protection, gain power, repeat. This is the cycle, and it continues. Unless we break it, I don't know if I'll be able to broadcast again. I don't know if this information will reach enough people to make a difference. But I've done what I can. I've documented everything. I've exposed the truth. Now it's up to you. What are you going to do with this information? Are you going to share it? Are you going to act on it? Or are you going to file it away and hope it doesn't affect you? Because it will affect you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually one of these outbreaks will spread beyond containment. Eventually, the bioweapon will be too effective, the response too slow, the infection too widespread, and then it won't be a small town. It'll be a city, a state, a country. And by then, it'll be too late. Remember Badger Creek. Remember Ironhold Island. Remember the 39,000 people who died because we didn't listen to the warnings. Good luck. You're going to need it.
My name is Sam Spade. 6 months ago, I survived an outbreak in Maine that killed 30,000 people. The government told us it was an accident, a containment failure. They lied. Now, Ironhold Island. 9,000 more dead. Same company, same bioweapons, same lies. But this time, they refined it, made it worse. My sister, Jill, she tried to expose them. She infiltrated their facilities in Europe, looking for proof. They captured her, held her prisoner, but she escaped. And now she's going after the source, a facility in the Arctic where this nightmare began. I'm gonna find her. I'm gonna help her finish what she started. And we're gonna make sure the world knows the truth about Aperture, Black Mesa, whatever name they're using now, about the governments that authorized this research, about the contractors who funded it, about every person who knew and stayed silent. 39,000 people are dead. 30,000 in the first outbreak, 9,000 at Ironhold Island. And there are more facilities out there, more tests being planned, unless we stop them. So this is my promise to everyone who died in these outbreaks, to the families who lost loved ones, to the survivors who have to live with what they saw. I'm not gonna let this happen again. I'm gonna find my sister. We're gonna expose this program, and we're gonna make sure the people responsible answer for what they've done. The cycle ends here. No more secret facilities, no more acceptable casualties. It ends, and it starts with finding the truth. Jill, if you're out there, if you're listening, I'm coming. Hold on a little longer. To everyone else, don't forget what happened here. Don't let them bury this story. Don't let them tell you it was necessary. 39,000 people didn't have to die. Remember their names. Remember what was done to them. And demand better. This is Sam Spade, and this isn't over.
Sam, if you're receiving this, it's Jill. I made it out of Site Alpha. Barely. I'm in northern Canada, about 80 kilometers from the research station. Temperatures dropped to -30. I've got frostbite on 3 fingers, possible broken ribs from the fall, and I'm pretty sure I'm being followed. But I got what I came for. I found the files. Sam, what they're doing up here, it's worse than Ironhold. Worse than the Z-Freeman virus. Worse than the mold. I can't give you details over an open channel, but there's another facility, another town, and they're testing something new. I'm going there to document it, expose it, and find a way to stop it before they erase another community to cover their tracks. Sam, I know what you're thinking. Don't try to find me. Don't follow me. I can handle this. If something happens to me, if you don't hear from me in 72 hours, encrypted files will be sent to your secure email automatically. Dead man switch. Everything I found, every document, it all goes public if I disappear. Tell Mom and Dad I'm okay. Tell them I'm doing what needs to be done. And Sam, thank you for not giving up on me. It kept me going. I have to move. They're getting closer. I can hear the helicopter. Stay safe, brother, and don't come looking for me. I mean it this time.
Join us next time as we witness the next chapter in our species' fight for survival. The end times are far from over. Until then, here is a preview of our next broadcast.
Okay, folks, we need to talk about what just happened. The president just told you 1 million miles. The NASA spokesperson, Dr. Terry Rapson, he stood there in his suit and tie and said 2% solar reduction. And I'm here to tell you, that is a lie. It's a damned lie, and they know it's a lie. I've been talking to people, astronomers, people who actually ran the numbers. And you know what they're telling me? Off the record, because they're terrified. They're telling me the displacement is going to be 6, 7, maybe 8 million miles. Not 1 million, 7 million. Do you understand what that means? That's not a 2% reduction in solar radiation. That's 15%. That's an ice age. And here's what really gets me. They've known this for months. Months. Las Campanas detected the object 15 months ago. NASA had access to every telescope, every supercomputer on the planet. You think they just now figured out the trajectory? You think they waited until yesterday to run the simulations? No, they knew. They've always known. And they made a conscious decision, a calculated decision, to tell you a number you could live with instead of the truth. Why? Ask yourself why they would do that. Because if they told you the truth, if they stood up there and said billions of you are going to die, there would be chaos, immediate chaos. Banks would collapse overnight. Food distribution would stop. People would abandon their posts. Society would disintegrate before the brown dwarf even got here. So they're giving you just enough truth to seem credible, but not enough to cause immediate panic. They're managing you like livestock. And the elite? Oh, they're preparing. You think those ARC projects just appeared overnight? They've been building those for years. Underground cities, seed vaults, geothermal power. They've been planning for this. Not for a 2% temperature drop, for an ice age. Because they knew. They've always known. And they decided you didn't need to know until it was too late to do anything about it. So what do? First, you don't trust the official numbers. Not anymore. Start planning for the worst case scenario. If you're north of 35 degrees latitude, start thinking about how to get south. Now, not when they tell you to evacuate. Now, second, build community. Find people you can trust. Because when this gets bad, and it will get bad, your neighbors are all you're going to have. Third, demand answers. Make noise. Make them uncomfortable. They're counting on you to just accept what you're told. Don't give them that satisfaction. Mark my words. In a few weeks, maybe a month, they're going to come back and say, oh, we made a calculation error. Turns out it's worse than we thought. And they'll act surprised. They'll act like this is new information. But it's not. They know right now. They've always known. This is Charlie Frost, and I'll be here telling you the truth they don't want you to hear. Stay vigilant, stay angry, and don't believe their lies.